Oh shit! Hold on.
This your boy Basement Boxing Talk coming to you live. We're gonna play the intro and we're gonna get this show started.
He say, Basement Boxing Talk. You know I'm a warrior, right? Fuck that, I'm a champion. Basement Boxing Talk. Left, right, jab in the hook. Better protect your jaw. 12 rounds if you can last. Better protect your fall. I got hits like Mayweather. You hit that round of applause. No question, the problem solved. Basement Boxing Talk. Left, right, jab in the hook. Better protect your jaw. 12 rounds if you can last. Better protect your fall. I got hits like Mayweather. You hit that round of applause. No question, the problem solved. I'm feeling cocky. I hit a thing to beat the ring, a booth up like I'm Rocky. ASAP, any opponent think they can stop me. I stay strapped, chop, tryna learn my moves so you can copy. You gotta give it your all. Gotta give it your all. When you're back against the wall. When you're back against the wall. When you the one people call. When you the one people call. To keep greatness involved. To keep greatness involved. Basement Boxing Talk. Left, right, jab in the hook. Better protect your jaw. 12 rounds if you can last. Better protect your fall. I got hits like Mayweather. You hit that round of applause. No question, the problem solved. Basement Boxing Talk. Left, right, jab in the hook. Better protect.
It's your boy Basement Boxing Talk coming to you live, and we got the good brother Brandon in the building. Salute my good brother Brandon.
Hey, what's going on, Basement?
Yes. And we got that man, That Work from Chin Checkers Podcast. Special guest appearance. I appreciate it, good brother. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How you, man?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I sent the link out to everybody, so I apologize for getting late. Started this Saturday. A lot of things going on, but hey, we here.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Oh, here we got the Hawk in the building.
Yeah, what's up, fellas?
What's good? What's good? We got Hawk in the building. What's good, Hawk?
Chilling, baby. What's good, man?
This is the other duo from Chin Checkers Podcast. Appreciate him for coming through.
Yes, sir. Follow us on all platforms, man. We on everything. YouTube, IG, Twitter, whatever you think, we on there, man. So what's going on, fellas?
What's good? What's good? Hey, we gonna talk boxing, bro. We gonna talk boxing.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it.
So, Brandon, I'm gonna let you start off first.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I asked Basement if you would give me a couple of minutes to kind of discuss something that has kind of been an issue the past couple of days regarding like the role of a manager and the role of a promoter and what they're supposed to do and everything. Because I think there's a misconception when it comes to the fans of who does what. So I had wanted a second to just say, hey, the listeners and everybody, if I could give some insight to it to kind of help clear some of the confusion up for it, I definitely wanted to do that. So I definitely want to thank you for that boxing Basement.
No problem. Anytime, bro. Anytime.
Yeah, I guess the main thing, and then I definitely, if people want to chime in, please do. I think the one thing that I think people need to understand about a promoter and a manager, and I think it becomes confusing, is a manager's job is to represent the interest of the fighter. A promoter's job never is to do that. That never is the case, and I think a lot of times, I'm not gonna say casuals, but I think there's a misconception that that's the case, and it's not. That's really my main thing I wanted to talk about was who represents the fighter. It's always the manager, the agent, the advisor. The promoter doesn't have that duty to represent the interest of the fighter's best interest.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, I see what you're saying, because the only reason why I say that is because as a promoter, you're more out there. So I feel like it's more expected on you, and it kind of represents, you know, your company or whatever you have going on. If you as a promoter, you know, are not at least attempting to make these fights happen for whoever the fighter that you have. I mean, it is a misperception, like you said, but I don't know, man. Like, as a promoter, I expect you to go out there and at least attempt. You know, it's a good look for your fighter and it's a good look for you.
Well, the thing is, the promoter doesn't have to do that. The promoter's goal is to say, look, I have to make sure whatever is needed for the commission to be taking place, whatever contractual duties that I owe the fighter, I just have to do that. You know, the manager really is the person who says, look, I managed their career, so the promoter could make the best effort, but the manager is the person who says, look, I represent what the fighter wants. If the fighter wants this, then that's what I have to kind of pursue. Whereas the promoter can say all day, look, I don't have to go for this because there's nothing in the contract that says that I have to do it. As long as I pay you what I'm supposed to pay you and I do what I'm supposed to do for our contract, that's really all I have to do. And I think what happens a lot of times is people forget that fighters have managers or agents who their job is to manage and kind of advise the best to represent the fighter. And that's the reason why I wanted to kind of say there's a difference between it, because I think a lot of people forget that not every fighter, but most boxers have a manager or an agent that they use. And that person is the person who's supposed to make sure certain fights get made and certain things get done.
See, yeah. I was looking, if you got a good promoter and you got a good manager, it's a rarity. Because usually, if you're a fighter, it's sorry to say, but you're like the hoe and they're the pimps. You look back at Roberto Duran's career, and his promoter and his manager set him up right after he beat Ray Leonard. They set him up and threw him right back in the ring. Meanwhile, he's on his victory lap. He's out of shape. If you know Roberto Duran, you know that after every victory, he blew up in weight. And both his managers and the promoter were like, oh, we're trying to protect your best interests, and we're going to put you in there and set you up for life money-wise. And it wasn't that. They're protecting their best interests and their money. And that it's sad to say, but the majority of boxing promoters are all about the money and their best interests. It's not about the sport of making the best fights. It's simply money. Don King used to pay allegedly, I don't know this, but I've heard through several sources, Don King used to pay certain fighters, right? And then have stuff in the contract like, yo, in camp, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to do this, this, and this. So meanwhile, you're the fighter. You think, oh, Don King's taking care of me. But he's deducting everything. Meanwhile, you end up thinking, oh, he's looking out. So I'm going to bring my boys with me. I'm going to do this. And now you're in debt to Don King before you even fought your title fight. You win your title fight, but now you need to jump back in the ring and jump through whatever hoops or whatever he's willing to set you up for. And I'm sure that's the case with a lot of the promoters out there. And it's sad to say, but the only reference I can make is they the pimps, and most of the time the boxers are like the hoes.
Well, I think the big thing is every promoter's in it for the money. I think you said some promoters, every promoter is in it for the money. That's kind of the reason why you had the Muhammad Ali Act to kind of help separate what's supposed to happen, because it's easy to exploit a boxer. Exploiting a boxer is easy. And that's where the manager is supposed to help the fighter and say, look, let me protect you. And yet every manager doesn't do it. And some managers are scumbags and worse than the promoter. Mm-hmm. But, you know, from a manager I know just lost a fighter to another manager slash promoter, and I think the problem is that fighter doesn't understand what their promoter and what the manager is supposed to do. And a lot of times people don't realize the manager is supposed to always represent and protect you. The promoter might not always have to, because you know his job is just the money, but the manager is supposed to be there to make sure their client's okay.
Hey, I want you to do me one favor, Brandon. Could you just break down for the people in the audience who listen, who gonna watch on YouTube, break down the job of a promoter and the job of a manager. Because I'm thinking a lot of people who just boxing fans, a lot of people don't really just understand the job of a promoter. Because the way when he was just discussing Don King, for somebody on the outside looking in, they might think like, damn, Don King was a manager. He's a manager and a promoter.
Yeah.
You feel me? He was a manager and a promoter. Like, so I'm just saying, for the people who don't understand what you're saying, could you just please break down like the job of a promoter and the job of a manager?
Yeah. So for example, like I'm a manager in boxing. You could say manager, agent, advisor, they're all kind of the same thing. So what your goal is to do is to represent and advise the fighter towards what they want. It's kind of like you're basically a sports agent in boxing. Like LeBron James has an agent, every athlete has an agent. As a manager, advisor, agent, that's what your job is to be the agent to that person. So you really are there to help them make the right decisions, protect them, to keep a lot of the things that shouldn't be around them away from them, kind of be that guiding light, that force to help build their brand and help get them where they say they want to be. That's really what your job is as a boxing manager or a combat sports manager, however you want to say it. That's your job. And your goal is to represent that fighter. Like your contract says, you represent the fighter's interests. Now, if you're a promoter, you have to have a license because your job is to make sure that everything that happens on that fight card, on that exhibition, is within the guidelines of the commission. So you have to make sure that you do the ticket receipts. You got to make sure you have security. You have to make sure you have an ambulance. All the rules fall on the promoter, as well as the financial responsibility. So a promoter might not be the person who's paying every fighter that night, but his job is to make sure everyone got paid, everyone's contractual obligations were met. That's really the goal of the promoter. The promoter doesn't have to look out for the fighter. He just has to make sure that whatever the contractual agreement is what he has to do. So a good example would be if I'm your manager, Basement, yes, and I think you said Hawk is his name. Hawk says, "Hey Brandon, I want Basement to fight some guy. I'll give you $50,000." Okay, I have to come to you and say, "Hey Basement, here's the fight they're offering. Here's the money. Here's the things with it. What do you want?" Basement, you can say, "No, I don't want the fight." "Yes, I want the fight." We can go with it. I take my pieces of money out of your salary because I work for you, right?
Right.
I'm your manager. My job is to work for you. I get paid when you get paid. Now, if I'm your promoter and Hawk comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to give you $1 million for Basement to fight somebody." Okay. I can go to that. So I can go to you, Basement, and say, "Basement, they're giving you $500,000 for the fight. If you say I will take a $500,000, it's cool. There's no problem. There's no issue. Okay, you got $500,000. I got $500,000. As long as I disclose to you that I got paid $500,000, I'm okay because I didn't cheat you out of any money. I said, "Would you fight for $500,000?" You said yes.
So Brandon, real quick, being that you're a manager, man, do you dictate the terms for your fighters when they come to you for contracts? So Basement's trying to set up a fight. Is it your job to make sure, look, my fighter needs these type of gloves, this type of weight, this type of testing? Or is that on the promoter?
It depends. If you're talking about the type of gloves and that stuff, that could be the trainer who may say, "Look, we got to have 10-ounce gloves." I mean, the managers can help. The manager negotiates it, but sometimes the trainer will say, "Look, it has to be at 147. It has to be 8 rounds. It has to be this, and this." And you can tell the promoter or the matchmaker, and if the commission approves it, that's it. But you do help negotiate and set up the terms of the agreement, even though some of it you may not necessarily be you might just be following the orders of somebody else. So the trainer may tell you it has to be a 4-round fight. He's not ready for 6 rounds.
Okay. Real quick, let me ask you on basically your thoughts on Al Haymon, because over and over you hear plenty of boxers no matter white, black, Spanish, they always give him praise. Now, Al Haymon, if I'm not mistaken, is a promoter, right?
No, he's a manager. He's a manager advisor.
He's a manager advisor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a manager advisor. So what Al Haymon,
It get tricky, don't it? It get tricky, don't it?
Yeah.
Bro? It get tricky. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I want Brandon to break this down, because it gets tricky. I see Hawk over there looking like.
No, I was cracking my neck, man. Got a little bit of what you call it problem.
Let me just shout out to my man AK, the apostle in the building. What's good, bro?
Your mic's off, brother. Well,
He probably just stepped away. Okay, go ahead, finish, Brandon.
Yeah.
Well, no, to answer your question, he's a manager advisor because he's won manager of the year like 3 straight times.
Mhm.
So he's not a promoter. But the thing is, a promoter is just a person whose name is on the paperwork, who the commission talks to. So if you ever look at any PBC shows, you never see Al Haymon as the promoter because he's not the promoter.
Right.
But you can get a promoter and say, look, I want to work with you. I got 10 guys. I want to put them on a card. I'll pay for everything. I'll give you a fee, and you can just make sure everything that needs to go with the commission you can go with. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's how Al Haymon works. He works with Goosen. Oh, he works with Tom Goosen as the promoter. And, Goosen's the promoter, and he's the manager, and they work for their fighters. So he's a really good manager because he looks out for his fighters' best interests.
Right.
He never looks out for what he never looks at it from a promotional standpoint. He looks at it from what do my fighters need. So
maybe you could shed a little light on, especially a couple of years ago, why did the other big wigs in boxing have such a problem with Al Haymon? You heard Bob Arum, didn't really seem too fond of him. The Zone every once in a while said a little something here and there, but what was the issue with Al Haymon with the other big wigs?
Well, a lot of it was Haymon a promoter or was he a manager? Because it's a thin line that gets confusing. And what happened a few years ago was it became an issue of what is his role when it comes to boxing? Who is he to the fighters? And he got sued. There's a lot about him that you can say anybody is not. No one's perfect. There are some things people do to be successful in boxing. So I'm not going to say Al Haymon has done something much different. You can Google and hear a lot of the stories about how he operates and things. But that was a big issue. Is okay if he's their manager, then that means he can't be their promoter. And if he's a promoter, that means he can't be their manager. And they were suing, saying that he was in violation of Muhammad Ali Act, which prevents that from being the case. Because a lot of fighters that were with Golden Boy, up and left Golden Boy, just like that, you had a lot of things that were happening where the questioning was, okay, you're acting like a promoter, but you're saying you're a manager. So it was just it really was a legal move to say, define your role so that we know who you are going forward.
Okay.
Because I think at one point Al Haymon had a promoter's license. I don't know if he ever used it, but he did have a promoter's license, I think, in California for a year or two.
Okay.
It's funny because I'm just looking at a documentary on hip hop Uncovered, and they talk about like the goons of the industry and things like that. But I find there's a lot of similarities to hip hop music and the boxing community. And it's crazy how you're talking about the managers and promoters and how maybe certain people don't like Al. When we did an interview with Buddy McGirt, he was saying how a lot of things happen behind the scenes with promoters, and him as a trainer being around, he would pick up on stuff. And they wanted to push him out because the fact that he was able to pick up on it, and they didn't really want him to expose it to the fighters. And it's
you're right. You're right. That's boxing's a dirty business. It's a very, very, it's a tiring, exhausting business. It is not something. It's really not that fun. And like going back to the hip hop thing, I think it sounds like you're from New York, right?
Yes, sir. Of course.
Like hip hop, hip hop grew up in New York, right? Hip hop is a New York thing. It started in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have something like boxing, you're talking about, I mean, just alone, the Zab Judas, the Mike Tysons, the Riddick Bowles, who are all from, you know, the low economic side of Brooklyn, who also had a huge influence on hip hop, and hip hop had a huge influence on it. I mean, you can't really think about Mike Tyson and New York and not think about hip hop and how he helped shape it and how it helped shape him. Because let's be real, Mike Tyson is one of the few guys that you can say that if you want somebody who has street cred, Mike Tyson had street cred being in Brownsville. He grew, I mean, he was the thing that rappers talked about, being grimy and being from the street. So yeah, hip hop and boxing go hand in hand.
Let me ask you a question. Being that my fault, work, you was gonna say something?
No, go on, brother.
What is the craziest thing you've seen being a boxing manager? What has the craziest thing, whether it been your involvement with another promoter that they try to pull a fast one over you and your fighter, or just backstage with fighters or things of that nature?
Oh, I can tell you that one easy, and I'll get the story because there's a story about the fighter Andre Carthon from California, 2014 on. You know what? It was 2014 in Galveston, Texas, on Pope Promotions show. He was from California. I don't remember his record, but he was fighting Felix Cora Jr. And him and his trainer get to Houston, which I'm in Houston. We were getting to Galveston, and he gets on the scale to weigh. And before he gets on, he says he wants $5,000, $5,000 more dollars. Now I'm gonna turn my camera on. I guess I can't turn my camera around, so I'll just turn my phone around. Can you guys see this flyer, this poster?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Felix Cora Jr. This is the show we did in 2004. Yeah, 2014. Felix Cora Jr. and the guy were fighting, and he said that he's not fighting if he doesn't get $5,000 more dollars. We sat there and argued for about an hour, and we said, okay, we'll give you $5,000 more dollars. He gets on the scale. We call his manager in California. His manager says, no, we agreed to the purse money. We're not going to do that. So while we're there, there's a guy that's walking around. He looks rich, and he said he's part of the WBO. Chris Vendola. His name will be in the article. I will post in the chat here. He's a shyster from Kentucky or whatever. He's here saying that he's part of the WBO. So everybody's kind of like, oh, okay, WBO's in the house. But he wasn't. He was a boxer looking for easy targets. So he tells Andre Carthon that, look, if you win this fight, we're going to get you a fight in Tennessee or someplace, and you get that fight, we'll rank you in the top 10 or whatever. I don't know what all they told him. But lo and behold, the night of the fight, main event's finna start, which he's the main event fighter. He decides that he wants $5,000 more dollars. So he literally sits there and says, hey, I'm not going out if I don't get $5,000 more dollars. At what point the commission said all we can do is say we can just suspend him. We can't force him to fight.
Right.
So what we did was basically, I don't know if you've ever been to Galveston, Texas, but it's in the Gulf of Mexico. We basically told him that the only way you go back to California is if he swims. So either he can get in the ring, take this fight, get his plane ticket, or he can swim back to California. It's on him, which he decided to take the fight, knocked out in the second round. There's video of it. I'll post it in a second, and that was it. That's the craziest story I've ever dealt with, because it's like, dude, why do you think you're going to come to another state and act this way and not have something happen?
Am I not mistaken, Brandon, or don't they usually have fighters that are on standby? I remember a guy I was in the gym with, that was his job. They just paid them to show up fights and sit around, and it wasn't big money. I think it was like a couple $100, but his job was just to sit around, and I guess if someone got hurt or something like that, they would throw him in, or if a bunch of knockouts happened, they would put him on the card just to fill in time. Was there not one of those around?
I mean, we had a guy that was going to be the swing fighter. You call them swing fighters.
Okay.
But the thing is, you just spent, I don't know, $400 on a plane ticket one way. So you don't already spent money on a plane ticket. You don't already spent money on a hotel room and 2 plane tickets for him and his trainer. So you're like, look, if I have to go that route, I will. But you really don't want to go that route because then you got to get the commission to approve it last minute, do the blood work, make sure the medical's all good. And it's like, okay, I really don't want to go that route. And it was the promoter's first time, so we weren't expecting that. But yeah, normally you'll have somebody who's on the back just waiting in case somebody messes up like that.
I didn't know what they were called. I knew a few of those guys, man.
So, AK, what's good, brother?
AK still not here.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing.
What up?
What's good?
What's happening, man?
What's good with you, brother?
You know what it is, man. Just listening, man. Tapping in, man.
Oh, you need to talk your shit. It's Saturday. Big event for you.
A big event for me? Talking about because my man fighting tonight?
I mean, for your peoples, bro. The DMV.
Yeah, we in the ring tonight, man. We got Manny Pacquiao protege trained by Freddie Roach out there in Atlantic City. I'm kind of upset because I couldn't be there tonight, man, because I got to work, man. So that's why I'm kind of in the slums.
Okay.
Wait. You said the fight's it's in Atlantic City? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking it was happening in the DMV. I'm tripping so bad. Okay.
Salute to my good brother Bruce Goes in the building.
But what we talking about, man?
You know what we talking about? Gary Russell. You started off. That's your man's.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want me to say, man? We got to fight tonight. The boy gonna come forward tonight. He looked like he's a puncher. He's really aggressive, and hopefully Gary's experience and his ring IQ will take over, and we'll get the job done.
Okay. That's the way you swinging with Gary?
That's my peoples. I ain't got no choice.
Oh, so what's going on with the weight, man?
Hey, I was just about to ask him that too.
My fault, Basement. I know it's your show, brother.
Listen, bro, this is my show, but you welcome. Hey, this is your show too. It's all our show.
I'm wondering, is the weight gonna be a factor?
For AK, we got questions for AK.
Yeah, man. Yo, AK, is the weight gonna be a problem, man?
Hold on. What you saying? I got smoke in this joint? What you trying to say?
Nah, we
you ain't got no smoke, bro. Hey, listen. We support Gary Russell, but ain't nobody bigger fan than Gary Russell. I just got a few questions to ask you that I'm concerned about tonight.
I mean, it could be a case where he's been at this weight class for quite some time, and it's getting to the point where he's kind of outgrowing the weight class. You know what I mean? So,
respectfully, I think that was a couple of years ago. He's 33 now. He should have moved up years ago. I don't even know why he still campaigns here. He's not making that much money. He's fighting maybe once a year. Move up and fight these other guys. People want to see you win there with them.
Them guys got to be willing to get in the ring with him. You know what I mean? That's one of the problems.
He got a name. They're going to get in there with him. He got a name. He's a household name.
Buddy, that sound good. But cats, I know for a fact is cats be doing the do-si-do when it come to my mans in there. I'm not making that up. I'm talking about first-hand information. I seen phone. I've been around where phone calls got made. I've been around when conversations was had, and cats just wasn't willing to do it. That's just factual.
Hold on, I know you can't throw anyone under the bus, but I gotta ask.
No, but he's 100% correct. I can tell you myself.
Did he say?
Okay, can I say something on that one? Can I say something on that one?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
look at anybody at 126 and 130 who you thought should have fought him, could have fought him, opportunity was there, and the fight never happened. Those are the ones he's talking about.
I mean,
he's not wrong.
Okay, let's put a little clarification on that. Because I can't let y'all put Shakur Stevenson in that same category. I can't let you do that one, Brandon.
So from a manager standpoint,
who said something about Shakur?
No, he just said from 126 to 30.
Yeah, so from a manager standpoint, you're saying that it was better for him to stay at 126?
Huh?
From a manager's standpoint, is it better for him to still campaign at 126? Shouldn't he still moved up and made some noise at 130?
I mean, but make noise against who? If nobody's going to fight you, you're just moving up to fight guys who don't bring anything to the table. I mean, Gary Russell he might not be a superstar, but he has superstar skills. So
sure, absolutely.
So I think the thing is, if you're going to move up, it has to be for a reason. You know, it's like right now, if Terence Crawford or Spence moved up to 154 to fight some top 15 guy, it's like, okay, what's the point of moving up if that's the best you're going to get out of it, you know? And Gary Russell could probably fight at 130, but if you've never noticed it, nobody's ever called him out. None of those guys ever call out Gary Russell. He's always calling him out. They never say, "Hey, Gary, let's make the fight happen."
Well, what are your thoughts on a couple of years back, the debacle with him and Devin Haney? Because I heard contracts got sent and contracts didn't get sent. So, I mean, if you know what I'm saying, I want to know what's on that, because Devin Haney looked like he was ready to go.
All right. Here's the situation with stuff like that. All right. I believe on the back end, like Eddie Hearn and whoever, they was never on board with the fight. Like, you never heard Eddie Hearn actually come out and say, this is something we trying to do. That was something the two fighters wanted to do, but I think on the back end, Eddie Hearn wasn't trying to necessarily put it together. So he sent Bill out there with what they call a term sheet to take back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which it never got no further than that term sheet. You know what I'm saying?
So real quick, I want to ask Brandon a question, man. If AK just said that the fighters wanted to make it happen, if both fighters want to make it happen, what are is it the promoters that are getting in the way of it, or the manager side? What actually would have taken place there in that situation for that fight not to happen?
Well, I think, first and foremost, I guess fighters can make any fight they want to make. They have the right to do that. The Muhammad Ali Act says no one can stop you from making a fight. But it does come down to who's going to pay for it. So if Gary Russell and Devin Haney wanted to fight, it would be fine if neither one of the promoters wanted to make the fight. But it also means that somebody has to make the fight, pay for it. And whenever a fighter is fighting and the promoter's not the one promoting it, the promoter gets a cut of it. The promoter's going to get 20% at least, maybe 15, but they're going to get double-digit percent of it. Okay. So then you have to look at it and say, well, if I fight for $2 million, I got to give maybe $300,000 to my promoter, maybe $300,000 to my manager. So then I'm left with $1.2 million to pay taxes and everything else. So you might not make the money you want to make off of it. You might say we can do it, but you might be thinking like, I'm giving a little bit away for this.
So let me ask you one other question to follow up with that, Brandon. Do you feel that Russell is being managed well or not?
I don't know. That's one of those questions that that's a question you have to ask him. I would say if he's not broke, he's getting what he wants, he's being managed well. That's really the key thing. If you're happy, you're being managed well. So when you're unhappy is when you're not being managed well.
Okay. I don't know, man. I just, as a fan, I want to see more. I can't speak for everybody. I just want to see more. And I never understood why he didn't move up, but this sheds some light on it. But my opinion is still move up, make some noise where you can't be denied anyway. But I mean, if he's happy, he's happy. But I feel like he should have moved up a couple of years ago.
I also agree. My fault. Go ahead, AK. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
Let's be honest about something real quick, since we touching on all of this.
Yeah.
Right. The entire Russell clan had been pretty much blackballed for a long time. I'm not gonna get into the specifics of who they had a fallout with that caused it, but it kind of had affected many of them. Just like when you see people go to 140, right?
Right.
One of the most dangerous fighters up there is Gary Antoine Russell. But when them guys go up there, not many of them are going to dance with them. You're not going to see Teofimo or none of them who go on to 140 get in the ring with that young lion. They not because his name hasn't been put out there like that. But if he was to get a hold of one of them, it's going to be a problem.
I would like to see that now that you said it, man. I mean, I would like to see that.
Yeah. All right. So if you could have it your way, AK, who would you want to see Gary Russell get in there with?
Junior or Twan?
Junior. Let's start with Junior.
After the night, let's go get Leo out the way. And then we want Devin Haney.
Whoa. You say
ain't no
AK?
Ain't no whoa. After the night, I want to see my man, praying that he's successful. After the night, let's go get Leo. Let's get that old stuff out the way, tighten him up. Then let's go get Devin Haney.
Okay, I got a question for you. Salute to my man Troy Graham in the building. Hey Troy, man, let me know if you want to come up, bro. I definitely let you come on up. I got a couple questions for you, AK.
Let's go.
All right. The last time we seen your man come in overweight, right? Was the Lomachenko fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this can be a repeated pattern?
No.
I mean, I'm just saying, do you think this same output can happen? It happened in the Lomo fight. Like he said something was wrong with him in the Lomo fight. He was supposed to be sick. They said he trained in this fight. I guess he did a lot of training himself.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, when they did the press conference, I'm listening to Gary Russell talk, and Gary Russell did not sound like the Gary Russell that I know. Like usually Gary Russell is confident. This guy, if you go back and play the last comments they did at the weigh-in or whatever, he said, "If I win." I said, "Damn, hold on, man." I had to rewind that shit again, and he's "if I win." I'm like, man, hold on. First the weight, now the if. Then I found out he did a lot of training personally just himself. Is my man gonna be on point tonight, man?
Yes. What do you want me to say, Basement? My man gonna be a shell of himself? What do you want me to say?
Yo, just me personally, if my man work is slipping, I'm gonna let him know, yo, bro.
Yeah.
He tells me all the time I gained weight, my neck's looking a little thicker. Yo, I appreciate that.
I just want to know, bro. Are we gonna get the same Gary Russell, bro? Because I mean, listen, even at the stare down, he didn't look the same, bro. Like he got something on his mind. No, I ain't trying to be funny because listen. I actually, if you want to know, I'll show you. I just bet money on Gary Russell tonight.
See, I was thinking the same thing, Basement. Yo, I was talking to work. I just jumped on FanDuel or DraftKings. I was looking at the odds. I was looking at videotape. But then I was worried. I'm worried about the weight. Like with Lopez in his last fight, had I been around him and knew, I think I would have put that money up, man. For the upset. Hey,
because listen, I ain't gonna lie. when I was just there, when I was at the casino, that's what I was thinking. I say, man, listen, I should put this money on this boy because it might be an upset. Last time Gary Russell did this shit, he came in overweight, he missed weight, he lost, man. No matter what decision, whatever, he lost.
And now he's fighting a guy who has the advantage in age, he has advantage in reach, has advantage in height.
And not to cut that work off, not to cut you off, bro.
Yeah.
Nah.
He already announced that he got an injury.
Oh, yo, hold on. What's the odds, man? Because now
He already announced that he has an injury, AK. And I'm just saying, like, is that pre-guilt? Like, man, because he said, if I win, not, bro, no, I'm saying, I just put money on it. I hope this motherfucker does win. You know what I'm saying? This shit right here, I'm
gonna tell you right now. No matter what happens from this point on, I ain't gonna never forget this. I'm gonna get you for this. I promise you, I'm gonna get you.
Oh, bro, this is not directed to you, bro. I'm just
man.
Because you right there. You got the ties, bro. These your people, this your family.
You try to put me in fish grease. I'm gonna get you.
Nah, bro. I ain't trying to put you in fish grease, brother. You know it's all love over here, man. These are just the questions that, man, some people don't pay attention to, man. Some of the little things people don't pay attention to. I paid attention to this at that press conference, man. That man said if.
Yo, Basement, if you're a casual fan, you don't pay attention to those. Those are the guys that just turn on the TV and watch. But like I know you do, when you watch the sport, you watch the eye contact, the body language, the weight, all that. And this guy is plus 275, man.
Yeah.
I might have to put that money up, man. Yo, you know what's funny is I was actually gonna bet on UFC's tonight, Ngannou versus Gaines, and I was gonna put money up on Gain to knock him out till I seen he's actually the favorite. So yeah, I'm not putting that money up because I thought it was an upset.
I mean, you know, I have not been the biggest Gary Russell fan, so I don't know a lot about his normal routine. But I mean, he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. I don't know what condition he's in. You know, he finally made weight, but it could just also be he's just tired. I mean, you're sitting there, you haven't fought in 2 years, you've been training, you've been dealing with everything we've been dealing with COVID and stuff. It could just be he's just getting to that last little time of his career before he hangs him up. It happens, you know. He may not have the love for it anymore.
Yo, Brandon, just personally, man, do you tell any fighters when you start to see those signs? I remember I was never a huge Joe Calzaghe fan, but he started to go through some of the similar stuff you're talking about where he wasn't getting bigger fights. He's getting older. A lot of injuries pop up, and you started to see the dip in terms of skill level. He's losing, getting beat up. Are you as a manager able to see that in your fighter, and do you have a conversation with him?
Actually, I don't see it as much as the trainer. A lot of times, I'm not a trainer, so I can't say I know how to train a fighter. So a lot of times, if the trainer says, hey, you know, we had a bad night tonight, okay. Or if you can see that, okay, there's something that's just not there anymore, and you ask the trainer, like, hey, did something happen in training? Did he have a hard time making weight? You know, is there a reason for his lackluster performance? And then sometimes if the fighter gets knocked out, or you see 2 or 3 fights where it's like, okay, you're not there anymore, they have what they call a boxer severity index. It's a BSI. It's like a plus minus thing of if you got knocked out, you got knocked down, did you win your fight, things like that. If you can look at that and say, well, look, you done had 2 straight knockout losses. You're not even looking like your old self anymore. Maybe we need to take a break from boxing. I will do that. But a lot of times I trust a trainer to be able to let me know, hey, he needs to move up in weight. He needs an easier fight because he's not there anymore. I trust the trainer in that discretion, and that's in that part of it.
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff, man.
What else we getting into boxing?
Salute to my good brother Black Star Sports TV in the building. What's good, Black Star?
Hey, salute, good brother. Man, how's all the good brothers doing today, man? A little late, man.
Wow.
Getting up on here, but I had to jump on here and chop it up with my brother, man. How's everything?
Everything all right. Everything all right. We just really getting started for real, bro. We just talking about the fight tonight, Russell. And I was at AK having a little bit on Gary Russell today.
Man, I hate to say it though, man, but I'm I love Gary Russell, man. I'm originally from DC, so I have affinity for my good brother, but man, I just got a bad feeling about tonight, man.
Hey, don't speak none of that in existence. You say you from the DMV, act like it. Stand up. Stand up.
Hey, K in the building, what it do, my brother?
Yeah, don't bring that energy in here. Black Star Basement already done set me up by coming in.
Yeah, he just set you up. Well, I ain't gonna go that route, but I'll tell you one thing, man. I have to mention, when you look at the weigh-in, man, and the guy standing there, man, that's a hell of a size difference, man. For a guy who's supposed to be the smaller fighter, this is similar to Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz when they stood beside each other, man. It's like, this guy don't look like the smaller fighter. So, and then, he's got that puncher's chance, and he's got a hell of a punch. So, but, Gary Russell slick, man. It ain't going to be easy to catch him. But, if by chance something happened, man, make me think. But, I got to go with my DMV brother, for sure. But
stay there.
Something just don't feel right.
Stay there.
Hey, listen here. I was telling AK before you jumped in, and another guy, the Hawk, a good man, Hawk from Chin Checkers podcast that work. He from Chin Checkers podcast, and Brandon. But and then in that weigh-in, bro. After the weigh-in, and they was doing their last little announcement, man. That man said, "If I win." And that's that. I can't get over that, bro. Cause you know what? Cause Gary Russell is a man who he picks and chooses the words that he says before he speaks, bro. Like, he's real articulate when he talks, bro.
I was gonna say he also talks with a bit of a swag and confidence to him. That don't sound very confident, brother. The moment you said it, I had to do a double take. Like, wait. Gary Russell said that? Because Gary Russell's, let's be honest, he pops shit, brother.
Man.
For him to say that, I don't know.
And then for him to sit up here and say, well, I got an injury, but we ain't going to talk about that.
Yo, AK, real quick, I don't want to Google it. His brother, what is it, Antoine, is he younger?
Yeah.
Gary
the oldest, ain't he?
Yeah, Gary the oldest. Antonio's in between, and Antoine is the youngest.
How old is Antoine?
I believe Twan is like 22, 23, something like that.
So he's significantly younger. Okay.
What you'll know, okay, the notable thing that most people are going to know about Gary Antoine is he beat Boots in the amateur. Twice.
But he fighting at 140, ain't he?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because he beat the guy, Adrian Broner came back and fought.
Yeah, the Spanish guy.
Yeah, Adrian Broner went the distance with him, and they gave Adrian Broner the fight, but Antoine Russell came back and knocked him out, I think in like 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah, he looked good in that fight.
Yeah, he did.
Yo,
I think the one thing we gotta accept though is that Gary Russell is 33, 34. So even if he wins tonight, at some point Father Time is undefeated. So we should expect that he's not gonna look the exact same.
So Brandon, what would you
hold.
Jump in.
Let me stop you real quick. See, that's what I'm saying. We can't say that, Brandon, because listen, this is the same guy that's calling out Tank This is the same guy that just called. Don't forget, during the pandemic, was calling, even no matter what, if it was a bluff move or not, was calling out Bud Crawford.
Yeah.
Same guy that's calling out Devin Haney. The same guy that's calling out Lomachenko. The same guy said he's willing, and this is one thing too, to answer that worst question earlier when he said, well, why Gary Russell just don't move up. One of the things is that he said in the interview that I heard, he said, well, he's not going to move up and relinquish his 126 belt if he can't come up and get an automatic championship fight for belt. But I'm thinking like, damn, well, if you're the WBC champion and you want to fight at 130, it should be easy for them to make a WBC belt, fight for you, right there at 130. You at least a mandatory.
We would think, but maybe he needs to get the franchise belt, the fake belt, in order to make these other fights. Who knows?
Well, who's at 130? Who's the guy at 130 right now? Or what's at 130? That's
AJ in the building.
135 is lightweight, I think, right?
Well, at 130, yeah. At 130, you got Valdez, you got Burchant, you got Herring, you got Shakur. There are some names at 130. I think Herring would have been a decent fight for him. I think Herring would have took that fight. But like I said, he didn't move up at all. My thing as a fan, I want to see you move up and make some noise.
Hold on. He don't want Herring. He don't want my guy.
I mean, Herring would have fought him. Herring would have fought him. Herring would have fought him. What I'm saying is that would have been a name that would help push his resume.
Herring's a big boy.
I'm just saying this. We know Gary Russell is a great fighter, but we cannot sit up here and start talking about Father Time and all this shit, and you calling out these young bulls out here, bro.
Very true, brother.
Well, yeah, dude, they always call them out. I mean, let's think about it, right?
I understand.
These older guys always call them out. They're gonna always say want somebody. That doesn't mean that they really are capable.
Some avoided them. Some just avoid them. Like, hey, I seen an interview with Thurman. He avoids them. He talking about he ain't never heard of some of these people. I'm like, damn, you ain't never heard. I never watched these people.
You bring up Keith Thurman. Thurman's at what, 147? Yes, that's a big jump, man.
No. I was just saying. Speaking in reference, bro.
Oh, okay.
Speaking in reference. We know Gary Russell ain't about to go up to no 147, bro.
He's talking about Keith ducking them other 147 pounders, them up in combos. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yo, it's funny. We talking about the young bulls. We had Basement on our podcast, Chin Checkers podcast, and we happened to bring up Loma and Tank. Now, Basement went off on me because I'm going Loma. So I want to know, we got the panel up here. I want to know what Brandon thinks. I want to know what AK thinks. And Black Star, I want to know what y'all think on who would win at 135 right now if the fight gets made in a couple. Loma or Tank, which way y'all going and why? Well, don't all speak at once.
I was trying to give everybody else a chance to speak, but I mean, it's clearly Loma. I mean, Tank is a good fighter, but you got to be a hell of a great boxer when you're gonna fight Loma. And I don't know if Tank is at that level yet.
Oh my
God. AK, which way you going,
bro?
I'm going with Tank, man.
Hurt me with that one, Brandon, bro.
Going with Tank, man.
You riding with Tank? Okay.
Please for yourself, AK. Tell him why.
I mean, because listen, when you look at the Teofimo fight, right? Everybody want to come up with his shoulder was hurt and he was waiting on this, he was waiting on that. No, he was staying away from that hot sauce. That little young, he realized that man hand and foot speed was a little bit more tricky than he thought, but he didn't like the hot sauce that was coming back from Teo. But Tank got that same hot sauce. You know what I mean? Tank got that same hot sauce. So he's not going to be doing all that jumping around, leaping here, leaping there, because he know if Tank catch him square, he may be looking at the ring lights. So he gonna take his time. And I think Tank showed that he got head moving too. He got some boxing skills too. And Tank has definitely got that equalizer. So I'm going with Tank, man. I think you're gonna see a similar case. It's not gonna be a carbon copy of what happened with him and T.O., but it's gonna be some similar stuff. He's gonna be standing around looking goofy, acting like he don't know what's going on, then all of a sudden try to get his little shots in. That's it. Tank gonna beat that boy.
I disagree because I look at it like this. I haven't seen Tank fight a guy as good as Loma, and I'm not gonna look at Loma's loss as his best effort. He lost to Teofimo. He did. But if you look at the fights he won, he looked very dominant. He looked like he was the superior fighter. So the fights you lose, okay, you lost. And Tank hasn't lost any fights, but I can't say I've seen Tank fight and box with a guy as good as Loma is. So that's the reason why I go with Loma.
Okay, now listen to this. I got a question for y'all. Is that fight going to be at 135 or 130?
135.
135. 135.
Yo, basement. Just me. I watched a video on Tank and everything like that. So I think his best thing should try his best to stay 135, 140. If he can maintain the 135 weight, become the king of that. If matchmaking comes into part and he could go up to 140, stay there. But if he fights certain people at 140, I would avoid that. Because while Tank has the great equalizer, sometimes just the sheer size of a man being bigger than you, and I mean just not even weight-wise, height-wise, reach-wise, speed-wise, it may take away from all that power. Santa Cruz hit Tank a lot, and Santa Cruz is no world beater. Good fighter, not great. So you got to be careful with Tank, and that's why I like what Mayweather's doing with him. I like Tank, but let's be honest. You can't just unleash the wolves with Tank. Yo, go out and get everyone. You got to be smart with him. That's just my opinion. That's why I think all these guys are somewhat being selective and avoiding each other because they know we're not going to throw you out there against certain people. Santa Cruz was made for him to look good against. And at points, he was getting touched, man. Imagine if someone had a little more pop like that boy Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's a counterpuncher, slightly bigger. I don't know, man. And also, I think Josh Taylor I might have to do a little more film. Josh Taylor might be a problem for my man. New York all day. I think T.O. need to stay away from him for a little bit.
Or he'll punish Teofimo. Josh Taylor.
Teofimo will get murdered. I mean, that would be something. It wouldn't even be fun to watch that massacre.
Yeah.
Okay. Are y'all listening to this? Is y'all basing that off of Lopez's last fight, or are we going off the Loma fight and other fights before then?
Real quick, if y'all switching it to Loma, or not Loma, if y'all switching it to Lopez and Taylor, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I mean, I'm probably gonna get shit for this. I don't see what's special about Josh Taylor.
You smoking?
I don't see it.
No, I can tell you what's special.
I really don't see. He reminds me of like Duncan. Like everything is basic.
But that's the thing. But that is the thing about it. He's not flashy. He's like Tim Duncan. He slowly picks you apart. He slowly wears you down. Like Duncan wasn't catching alleys and
I know
dunking like Shaq.
I know what this is. He beat somebody you like. Josh Taylor.
No, Josh Taylor didn't beat nobody that. To me, even when I watched the last fight when it was undisputed, I was just like, I guess he did okay. I wasn't impressed. Me personally, I wasn't impressed. I just don't see what's special about him.
Well, that's the thing.
He's a good fighter, but I don't see anything special about him.
But that's what makes him special is that like he's not flashy. He's not doing things that are just going to stick out. So it's hard to look at that and say, how do I prepare for that? Like we both know, like I think AKA said about Tank's power. He has a little head movement and he has power. So we know Tank has power. Neutralize the power. But if it's a guy where it's like he's tall, he's big for his weight division, he's powerful in both hands, he has decent footwork, it's hard to prepare for that because they're gonna look very fundamental. Like Tim Duncan, they're gonna look fundamental and get 5 rings and you don't know what happened. It's gonna be like that. So I would think nobody's gonna step up with Josh Taylor. And you see, nobody's really calling out Josh Taylor. They're like, yeah, I want to go to 140. Tio's the only one that's calling him out, and Tio is half drunk calling him out. Tio does not want him.
All right, so sometimes this happens. Sometimes you get an exceptional guy like Sugar Shane Mosley, where he moves up, he keeps his power, he keeps his speed, he keeps everything. Usually when you move up, you move around, you need to take a minute to let your body get adjusted to fighting a guy. And while it's only 5, 6, 7 pounds, it's small increments of pounds. You're also fighting a guy who's probably cutting 20, 25 pounds of weight. So now you're getting used to fighting a bigger puncher and things like that. Give it some time and let's see how Tio adjusts. If he moves up to 140 and starts executing people up there and taking them out the same way he was doing at 135, now we can make a little bit more of an assessment, especially after being drained, not being in the ring, and then jumping in there with Kambosa, young, hungry guy who's ready, waiting for that opportunity to make a big name. Let's give it some time before. And the thing about Josh Taylor, sneaky counterpuncher. So you set traps for people and drag them into later waters and snipe them up. That's a dangerous fighter right there when you're thinking. You see people hurt, but you think and set the trap and let them fall into it. I kind of like Josh Taylor, man.
Josh
Well,
Taylor, bro. Josh
Here's the
Taylor's
only
about-
thing I'll say about that. You make some valid points, and this is not me throwing shots at anybody, but he needs a better trainer in order to beat some of these guys.
Oh,
He needs a much better corner to be able to
talking about
adjust and
Lopez?
beat these guys. Yes.
Oh yeah, God.
hold on. If there's anyone that doesn't think that up here, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what, me personally, you should change your trainer every so often just to shake things up and pick up some new tricks. That's just me. But if you really trust someone and they help take you to another level, Manuel Stewart, like what he did over the years with countless fighters. Rest in peace, Manny. I love Manny. That's my favorite trainer of all time. You saw him get in people's corners, and he took regular guys into superstars. Vladimir Klitschko dominated for years by having Manny Stewart in his corner. So if anyone thinks that cornermans aren't important, you don't know boxing. You know, the dad in your corner, he may get you to a certain point. Your talent level may even push you further. At some point, a guy like you, Brandon, needs to tell the fighter, like, yo, it's time, man. You need to make that switch. Maybe he need to call Buddy McGirt, man.
We didn't discuss that on the show numerous times too, man. And just like I've called it out before, like I think one of the main person you're talking about would be a person like Danny Garcia. I believe Danny Garcia has outgrew his father. His father had nothing to tell him in the Earl Spence fight. Nothing. He ain't had nothing. It was nothing. It was nothing he could tell him. All he could tell me is go out there. He gonna whoop his ass.
Right.
You ain't go out there whoop his ass. You ain't sitting up here. You seeing he getting jabbed to death. You feel me? You ain't telling me to move his head. You ain't telling him nothing.
No adjustments.
No adjustments. Another guy, Lopez. I believe his father. He needs some. It's cool for your father. Your father can take you only so far, like you said. Then your talent can take you a little bit farther.
Mm-hmm.
But then it comes a point to where even with the relationship from father and son, it becomes friction. Just comes within it. Sometimes the father wants it more than the son wants it, or the father's trying to live his life through the son. Sean Porter's another one. You feel me? But one thing I can say about Kenny Porter, he does know how to play his role and step back and bring other people into camp to help work with Sean. But they still just couldn't get it right. But that's another subject. But
well, hard. Do you think they couldn't get it right, or maybe Sean's life? Because from what I'm told, they actually pushed him more to being a football player. So, do you think maybe that had something to do with his career path? Not saying that Sean Porter didn't have a great career, because he did.
Yeah, he Hall of Fame.
Yeah, definitely. But he lost a lot of his big fights, and
he lost his big fights due to the same thing. It was the same thing he lost every time he lost. It was the later rounds. He started getting sloppy. Sean Porter can go out there and be good for 7 rounds. He good for 7 rounds, but after the 7th round, he's gonna start dropping his hand. He's gonna start lunging, and he's gonna do something to where we just saying with Bud Crawford. So, you can't do that with a motherfucker who in there and know how to make adjustments. Yeah. And they see like, oh, you sitting up here doing this? Okay, you lunging now? You feel me? It's just like a basketball player aiming when he's shooting. And you like, man, quit aiming at the rim. Shoot the damn ball. You feel me?
That's a good point. I mean, Sean Porter, Zab Judah, and Oscar De La Hoya are always known for being 6-round fighters. They'll give you 6 good rounds, and after that, it's you can kind of start to win. That's a good point.
You know, my biggest thing with Sean was that I never was a fan of his accuracy. Either he's overshooting it, or it's under, or he's smothering his work. I feel like if he had better accuracy, probably would have went a little further, because he had decent power. He had speed. You know, he obviously had agility and movement, but he always smothered his work, and I could never understand that shit. I never understand it. And he been doing it for years, and maybe just before this fight, he actually looked a little better. He looked decent in the Earl Spence fight, the fight before that, I think the fight after that too. But then when he came to Terence Crawford, it looked like the same old Sean came up, smothering his work, no accuracy, not landing when he needed to land. It kind of looked like the old Sean, and I think it was a good idea that he retired, but I was a little upset by his performance.
Basement, what are you thinking?
Yeah, he's cooking over there.
Yeah, I was over here thinking about something he said, man. It's cool though. It's cool.
Yo, that Sean Porter fight.
Maybe listen to this.
I wanted Sean to win, man.
Maybe with Sean Porter, with that part is maybe, because I understand what he's saying. Like, he kind of over aggressive and over punches and everything, but maybe that's come from his father didn't teach him when he was younger. He didn't have somebody else. He didn't have somebody else working with Sean when he was younger. I mean, it was later in his career, and so when he started having these big fights, that his father started bringing in other people.
Basement. It's even before that. Like when he was young, they were trying to prep him for football.
True that too.
It wasn't boxing. And I'm not sure if he loves it or not. You know, it's not for us to speculate or whatever. But when you tell me that you were prepping your son, well, I didn't hear him personally say it, but I heard they were prepping him for football. And that when he saw that he wasn't going to go collegiately with it or go further with it, they switched their plan. That's dope, man. Making adjustments on the move, you know what you're able to do, cool. But then when you do make that adjustment, you do have to kind of commit to it. And like you're saying, midway through his career, maybe they should have made an adjustment and went with another trainer to kind of take him further. But I think, and I'm not sure if this is just Sean Porter, I think if you don't start a kid young enough, and they develop that muscle memory, it's really hard. You have to be an exceptional athlete to become a world champion. He did it midway, and that's why I got to salute Sean Porter, man. He smothered his punches, he did all that, but this is a guy who was supposed to be a football player.
I don't know.
Black Star, would you like? You want to say something?
Salute, Black Star. Nice to meet you, brother. Good to see you.
Salute to the good brothers, man. Good to meet y'all too, man. And everybody else, Brandon, aka, everybody on the panel, man. Excuse my manners when I first jumped on, man. I was just, as you see, I'm out and about. But yeah, man, Sean Porter is exceptional, man. And I do like what you're saying about Kenny Porter, man. When he fought Errol Spence, he didn't let his ego get in the way. He went on down to the Headhunters gym and said, "Look, man, let's get our heads together. We got a beast down here. We got to go up against. We want my boy ready. Let's put him through the ring. I'm gonna put him through what I think he need to go through. You put your piece in, whatever it is. Do to him whatever you will. Just get him ready." And they did that. And when he had the fight, man, that's probably his crowning achievement in his career, really, even though it was a loss. But to go out there against a guy like Errol Spence, and believe me, the history books are going to, hasn't even been written on Errol Spence yet. I think his best fight ain't happened yet. I think we're going to see the best Errol Spence at 154. But it's only pertaining to how that retina is going to hold up, because that was the question with Sugar Ray Leonard too, But I really like the way that they did that, man. They went for broke. But then the only question I have, though, is where was all that when it came to Bud Crawford? When he fought Bud Crawford, he didn't go through the same hell that he went through. If that was the same Porter that fought Bud Crawford, that fought Errol Spence, I think we have a different fight.
Yo, it's funny that you said that, because I was thinking before the fight, had I known him and his father already had talks about retirement, I would have bet the house Crawford's going to beat him. I would have bet the house.
Yes,
because once you think you're gonna retire, guess what? You retired, motherfucker. It's time to go. That's it. When in your mind, when you go, damn, I don't think I want to do this anymore, and it gets deep, it's time for you to go. Because like you said, when that fight, I thought he was winning. I had the fight even going into the 10th round. Actually, I think I might have had Porter up. I can't remember my scorecard, but I thought it was close. Basically, what we talking about?
Yeah, it was close. It was close. I had Porter up.
I actually had Bud up by 1 point, but it was a close fight.
Let's just say this: you also like Terence Crawford. Nah,
but I did pick the upset because I thought Sean, he looked pretty decent in his last two fights. He looked like his accuracy improved. So I was going with the upset. And, Terence Crawford sometimes in the past showed that he can get shook with a shot. And I really thought Sean would catch him with a shot. It didn't happen. And, hey, it is what it is. But me and Hawk talked about this earlier. Now, because of that, if the dream fight happens with Earl and Terence, right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Terence. I'm looking at Earl with, the car crash. I'm looking at Earl with the eye injury. I'm looking at how when he came back to fight Danny Garcia, he didn't blow him out the park, and I thought he would. I'm starting to look at Terence Crawford like Terence Crawford might win that fight against
I don't know who's playing that, but yeah, I mean that's a good assumption. I mean, Terence Crawford hasn't looked like Terence Crawford in some years. I mean, you don't have a car accident, break your teeth.
No, you mean concussion. You mean Errol Spence.
Errol Spence. I'm sorry.
Mixing your words.
Errol Spence. Sorry. You don't have an accident like that and then have an eye injury and be 100%. You're never going to be 100%. I mean, anybody's ever been in a car accident, had any major surgery or anything, you guys know, you never come back 100%. So that's a fair assessment to say that. I think Crawford would get Spence if they fight. Now, I'll go on the record again and say the fight's not happening, But I at this point, I would go with Crawford over Spence.
Hold on. What? Whoa.
Okay.
At this point, unless something else happens, but right now, I don't know. Crawford is looking like a better. He stopped Sean. He stopped him, not knocked him down. Stopped him. Earl didn't stop him, and when he was, I don't know.
Hey, listen.
I'm looking at.
Yeah. Okay, listen. Let me defend my man Earl Spence real quick, bro.
Let's go.
Let me defend my man Earl Spence on this one. When Earl fought Sean Porter, bro, don't forget, Earl fought Sean Porter's fight. He beat Sean Porter at his own fight. Now, he could have came out there and boxed Sean Porter like he did Mikey Garcia. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
He could have came out there and put hands on him like he did Lamont Peterson. You feel me? But he came out there because everybody was saying, oh, yeah, Earl Spence can't do this, he can't do that. So that man came out there and stood in the middle of the ring and fought this man toe-to-toe. Rambo status. And this, bro. And this is what I'm saying. That fight was not as close as some of you people make it. I was at the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But not only was out there and watched that fight live in person, bro. I had watched that fight at least 20, 30 times, bro.
No, it was a majority. They said split.
Yeah, right.
No.
Because if you think, bro, when the announcers were saying, like, do you see the punch count?
Nah, it was close because we thought
it was
Errol
close.
Spence was gonna wash him. We thought
but that's not how you can you judge a fight on what you thought someone was gonna do,
brother. I'm a fan of Errol Spence. So
no, I'm just
when I'm not biased, I say that clearly. No, but I'm biased. I'm watching the fight and I'm going, damn, my man Errol's getting a little touch too much. I think so. My opinion's a bit different.
Salute to my good brother PGH Big Dog in the house. What's good brother?
Man, my bros, I gotta say this though.
Jump in, baby.
When it come to Earl Spence though, this is the thing that's so misleading. Like Baseman was saying, he fought Porter's fight. That means he stayed in the pocket. They was going toe to toe. They was hanging and banging. But the flip side of it is that ain't foreign to Earl anyway. You know, that what makes Earl so great is fighting that type of fight. It's getting in there, hanging and banging and going toe to toe. If you go back to the Kell Brook fight, the Kell Brook fight started out one way. Kell Brook, everybody said, oh, Kell Brook was a hit. Then meticulously as you started to watch through the fight, even if you don't watch the rounds, just listen to Kell Brook's corner, man, after every round and watch how the narrative changes. He's going, go get him. Just, hey, watch out for this. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, he's on his back foot now. The whole narrative changed, the motive, because he's just now taking over you. He's tenacious. He don't give up. And he stays in that pocket, man, with you. And he going to hang and bang. And half of the stuff that people saw with the Porter fight was they was battling for leverage because he got this shorter guy in his chest. So he's trying to get down. Like people were saying, well, he was hitting him with his headbutt and stuff like that. But if you notice, they was battling to get under. You know, he was trying to get him with the not low blow, but to the abdomen. But sometimes it went low because he was shorter and then fighting for the leverage. They had that battle going on. But
everything you saying is absolutely right. But that's before the accident. After the accident, Earl Spence doesn't look the same to me. I thought Danny Garcia was going to be out of there.
22nd.
He should have been out. He should have killed Danny. He don't look the same after to me.
I think that's, I can see what you were saying. It wouldn't have surprised me if it had went that way. But that's kind of disrespectful to Danny because Danny is a hardcore fighter and he ain't walk in the park. And he's much bigger, he's a bigger guy than Porter is as far as the height and reach. They were more even as far as that went. And even he had to admit, he was like, man, I didn't realize that Earl's jab was like that. And that was the telling factor for him because as you can see, he didn't get knocked out, but he sure as hell got beat up.
Well, here's my take.
Hold on, before you start, Brandon. Let me give a shout out real quick.
Go ahead.
Give a shout out to my good brother Sir Ken in the building. Let me give a shout out to the good brother Watcher. Salute to you, good brother. And PJ's big dog. Salute.
Salute to the fam.
All right, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was just gonna say this. I would look at it this way. We can say post-car accident, he has not been the same, and he hasn't. He has not been the same. But we're also talking in a fight where he will be fighting against a heavy-handed southpaw, which he hasn't fought a heavy-handed southpaw. I don't know if he's ever fought a heavy-handed southpaw. But we're not talking about him fighting a guy who's going to fight orthodox. We're talking about a guy who's going to fight him kind of the opposite of how he's used to fighting. So you got to take that in consideration when you're saying, hey, he's going to do this and this, because I haven't seen it. Now, maybe you guys have. I'll admit, I haven't seen all of Errol Spence's fight, but I don't know the last time he fought a top-level southpaw. So I'm going to look at that as part of my reason for saying, hey, he might lose to this guy.
Oh, wow. Wait, so you're saying you think he might lose to Ugas, or you're talking about Terence?
I would think he would lose to Terence. I wouldn't be surprised if he lost to Ugas. I would not be surprised. I mean, boxers lose and win all the time. Boxers are going to lose and win fights.
Hey, what didn't happen, brother?
I mean, Terence Crawford, the loser, Terence Crawford.
Man,
okay.
Ugas,
I think he got Ugas.
Man, my man didn't sit up. He pulling out knives on me now.
Well, no, dude. Here's the thing. No, because here's the thing.
Real quick, I went to go make me a drink. Did I hear someone say Ugas is gonna beat either Terence Crawford or Earl Spence? Who?
No, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Ugas beats Spence. I wouldn't be surprised.
What the fuck? Hell no.
Dude, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you guys a question.
Ugas sucks.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Let me ask you a question. As many upsets as we've had in boxing in the last 2 years, you cannot say, hey, this guy automatically is going to lose. Because we said the same thing about Ugas and Manny Pacquiao, and Manny lost to him. We said the same thing about Teofimo and Kambosos. We said the same thing. I mean, remember when Teo fought Loma, everybody was like, Loma's going to win. Remember when AJ fought Andy Ruiz?
Yo, Brandon, the dope part about having podcasts is
division, bro.
The cool thing about having everything on video is because you got the receipts. I said if Earl Spence fights Manny Pacquiao, he's sending him into retirement. And I said that they're not going to allow Ugas to win the decision, but they did. They gave it to him. Normally, if you're a big star bringing that money, they not letting you win that decision. They not giving you that fight. They wanted Manny out. Manny's no longer protected by Top Rank. They let him lose. There is no way Ugas is beating either guy, Terence Crawford or Earl Spence. No way. Ugas should have knocked out the governor of the Philippines. That's what it is.
So let me ask you a question. So let me ask you this question. If Spence looks horrible against Ugas and he wins, or if he looks horrible or looks good and loses, what then do you say about Errol Spence? Because that's what we got to look at it at. Because if we're saying Ugas is that bad of a fighter, then that means Spence should be able to dominate him fairly easy. And if Spence doesn't dominate him fairly easy, then that says something about Errol Spence.
Yeah,
it's like I count my man Earl out already, bro. Hold on. I got Johnny Cocker, my man Earl, man. Hey, listen to this. I understand when he fought Danny Garcia, he said he was at 80%, bro. And he beat the shit out of motherfucker Danny Garcia. We ain't never seen nobody punch Danny Garcia like that, bro. He ain't get a knockout. But we ain't never seen nobody put hands on Danny Garcia like that, bro. From Keith Thurman to Sean Porter. We ain't never seen nobody put hands on him like that.
Yeah, of course we have. Amir Khan was putting hands on Danny Garcia until he got knocked out. Amir Khan was beating the hell out of Danny Garcia. Okay. I mean, he had 4 rounds where he was beating the literal hell out of this dude.
Well, you also got to put in there as well. People giving Terence Crawford so much credit for being undisputed, but the guy who cleared out the division was the same guy you're talking about right now, Danny Garcia. So, you know what I'm saying? So you got to figure all that in. And as far as the Ugas fight go, man, Ugas, can you name the 4 guys that Ugas lost to? You only can name 1 out of the 4 losses that the man has, and that's Sean Porter. The other 3, you don't know who the fuck they is because they're garbage. So
Johnny Garcia wasn't garbage. Johnny Garcia and Amir Imam weren't garbage. Amir Imam was
Ugas fight.
I know Ugas lost to Amir Imam. Amir Imam was gonna be the next superstar, but he got burnt out in boxing.
He was gonna be. He was gonna be.
Yeah, he was. Dude, he was coming up. He wasn't nobody. He wasn't a nobody.
You know, I was supposed to be a Division I football star. Ain't happened, bro. Ain't happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta live with that. Gotta eat that L, bro.
No, but you don't have an L because if you play Division II.
Let's slide it on over to your boy Terence Crawford though, because the Terence Crawford Earl Spence fight to me is a damn joke. Ain't no fight here. Bud can't fight Earl with the way that Earl fights. Earl is the guy who's tailor-made to beat the dog shit out of Terence Crawford. And I bet anybody any amount of money they want to bet on it. It's the facts.
Oh, please. I'll take that bet.
I'll take that bet.
I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet.
Hey,
I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet.
I'll take the $100.
Hey, Black Star finna retire on that shit.
Well, no, because Black Star about to work for a little bit because Black Star let him be a fan of Spence cash checks because he likes Spence. I'm about to retire because here's the one thing I'll say.
I'll tell you why. The thing that makes Earl great is the kryptonite to Terence Crawford. If you looked at him against Sean Porter, when Sean Porter got inside on him, Terence Crawford looked like he was lost. He didn't know what the fuck to do. He was getting caught with shit. He didn't look like this pound for pound great fighter that everybody made him out to be, which was one of my criticisms in the gate because we never saw him in there with a dog. Everybody he fought don't fight him back. You know, and then when he went there with Jose Benavidez Jr., this guy ain't no world champion beater, but he gave him hell. It took him he finally got the stoppage in the last round. Okay, but look at them fucking rounds ahead of that. He was in Terence Crawford's ass. That wasn't no cakewalk for him.
I see what you're saying, but
what you think Earl gonna do to him? A guy that goes in and gets stronger as the fight wears on.
Earl's gonna do the same thing he did to Ocampo. Well, I'm gonna say about Ocampo. Earl's gonna do the same thing he done since his accident. He's gonna get in there, and I think Basement. Somebody said he's gonna say he's 100% ready to go, and then he's gonna say, "Well, I was at 80%. I was at 60%."
He's gonna beat the shit out of Terence Crawford. He's gonna beat the
Dude,
shit
if
out
that was the case, here's the thing. I don't think they're ever gonna fight.
Terence Crawford does not finish the fight, Brandon. Trust me, my brother. And
well,
when the fight does
happen,
you're gonna say, Black Star, you told me. And I'm gonna say, that's right. You should have listened to it, brother.
I can't see that happen.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
The fight's not gonna happen.
What?
Brandon, hold on. Brandon, why do you think the fight's not gonna happen? You said that multiple times.
Look at what's happened. I mean, PBC came out a few weeks ago, and PBC doesn't ever talk to the media. They said, "Look, financially, we cannot make this fight happen. Fighting money-wise, we cannot make the fight happen." I mean, they said the same thing Bob Arum said. Everybody has said since they first talked about making this fight, we don't have the money for it.
I got a question for you, Brandon. Now listen to this. PBC say that, right? But then all of a sudden they talking about Charlo and Canelo. So PBC got to come up with the money for that fight.
Well, no, that's easy because Canelo can say, "Look, we'll get $25 million on foreign rights in Mexico just like that." They can say that because Canelo's gonna sell those foreign pay-per-view shows. So you can say you're gonna get 25, 30 million, plus he's gonna bring in foreign sponsors. So they can make that happen. But let's even think about when he fought Plant, right? How many pay-per-view sales did they have for that fight?
I forgot what
700,000, 800,000?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, let's say 800,000, and let's say it was what, $90 for the show?
Yeah, man, nobody did that shit since Floyd.
But I mean, let me see. It was what? Let's do the math right. Let's do the math at it right here. Let's say it was 800,000, right? Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you do 800, okay, where's my calculator? We do 800,000 pay-per-view buys at $90, and let's say PBC got half of that, so they got $45 out of it.
Okay,
that's $36 million that they got. Is that about right?
Give or take. Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Let me do it again.
Canelo got
800,000
What's McConnell?
times.
Man got 10.
So let's say that's $36 million that they made on pay-per-view that PBC took home, right?
Right.
And Canelo was guaranteed $40 million, so they're still $4 million short after they get the pay-per-view money. So when they say, "Look, there's no money that can be made from it, and we don't have the money for it," they're not lying. I mean, Top Rank and PBC have both run the numbers, and the numbers say, "Look, if you guys want to make the fight, you cannot make we cannot get a $25 million purse for you guys to split. 15 maybe, but that 15 would be kind of insulting for a fight at this level." So that's why I don't, and also I don't think it's going to happen because Spence has never said he wanted to fight. He just said that if we made the fight, I want 60%, but he's never said, "Get me in the ring with Terence Crawford."
You know what's really happening that's killing the sport,
Bro,
man?
that fight gonna happen.
Hey, listen.
It's the amount of money that is going around too much and too casual. And what happens is guys think they're bigger than what they are, bigger draws and things like that.
Exactly. Facts.
And
That's it.
it's a numbers game. At no point ever in the history of entertainment has a guy like, what's his name, Jake Paul, comes out and he gets all this money. He skipped it's really what you bring to the table and what you're able to make. So now when you got a bunch of fighters that aren't able to make this type of money, seeing Jake Paul make this money, now you're inflating your own numbers when you're not able to really recoup that revenue. And it's crazy. Now that you did put it that way, we may never get some of any super fights when you think about it like that. Two prime fighters, big names, both wanting the majority bulk of the money.
You're 100% correct. It's one of those things where, like what you just said, what every promoter and every network looks at. Can we spend the money? Yes. Are we going to get it back plus a profit that's worth it? Probably not. So then you say, well, why spend $10 million to make $10 million in $1? I can just keep the $10 million and go. I mean, and let's be real. If you're a network, you'll make a shitload of money. Excuse me for cursing, with college football, pro basketball. You'll make killing with any other sport than boxing.
So, I mean, not to really shit on Terence Crawford, would it have been in his best interest or everybody's best interest if he would have came over to PBC?
No,
because at least you don't got to split that with Top Rank. If you would have came over to PBC,
it doesn't matter if they were. The key thing is if they don't have enough money to make it viable for you, it doesn't matter where you go. Because even if you guys say I have to split it with Top Rank, if he wants $10 million, that's roughly 200,000 pay-per-view buys that they have to have for him to get that 10 million guaranteed at least. So regardless if it's Top Rank or PBC or Hearn, if you can't pay him the money, it won't matter.
Salute to WB Boxing, and salute to Sir Ken. Sir Ken said Crawford is not a household name like Canelo. This is why big money is not behind Crawford. Hey,
wow. I don't know about that, but all right.
I think it's more like a negotiation tactic. It's the same, like you say, it's the same thing Bob Hearn was doing. The money is there. It's a profitable fight. Everybody that loves boxing go and want to see this fight. You know, everybody has an interest in it. They've been talking about it for years. The hype has been building and building. People going to buy this. It's going to be profitable. So what
people aren't going to buy it. People are not going to buy it. They're going to steal the fight. Like I can tell you right now.
Who's not buying this fight?
Dude, you know how many people are not buying it? Dude, a lot of people not buying it. A lot of people are like, look, let me ask you a question. Okay, let's do it like this.
Who is not talking about?
Talking about it and saying they're going to spend $100 on it are different. Everybody says they want the fight. Like tonight. No, but let's say tonight the fight on Showtime, right? I already know about 10 people who are going to watch it on the app because they're not going to pay for it. They're not going to a bar. They're going to download an app and watch it for free pirated. I already know people for the Thurman Barrios fight. They're going to have a fight party and watch a pirated version of it. A lot of people are not spending the money like that. And the problem with it is that you can't ask fans to buy Barrios Thurman, buy Ugas Spence, then buy all these fights because people, I'm not rich. So to me, if you're going to make the fight, you can't be having a 2 or 3 pay-per-views before it, which is the case.
I see what you're saying.
And the thing is, PBC and Top Rank and everybody's running numbers. If you want to give them $25 million a split, you got to have 400,000 pay-per-views just to do that for the main event. And we both know that's not going to sell 1 million pay-per-views. It'll sell maybe 400,000, maybe 420. But then by the time you pay everybody else, you pay your ticket guys, you pay your staff. I mean, a couple of $1 million profit is not worth it for if you know, if that's all you're going to make off of it.
Yo, let me ask you something real quick, man. You seem like just in this hour of talking with you, you're actually extremely intelligent, man. When you think about it like that, then where do you go as a fighter to make bread outside of pay-per-view and things like that and promoters? Because then as a businessman, won't you want to take away as many middlemen as you can? Why wouldn't you just do the Floyd Mayweather, start your own promotion company? Why wouldn't Bud Crawford do his own promotional company? Spence buy himself out of the contract he's under, and then they make a super fight and keep all the cash for themselves. I mean, is that a realistic option?
It's realistic. It can happen. Here's the thing: if a fighter really wants to make a lot of money, get you some really good sponsors behind you. Like I don't know how much Floyd charges to have your name or whatever on his trunks and everything, but you can make a lot of money being a sponsor or being sponsored, because you can get paid even though you're not stepping in the ring. You know, like look at Jordan. Jordan makes millions of dollars and he doesn't pick up a basketball at all anymore. So I think the best way to make the money is to say, okay, who can I partner with to help push their product and get a couple of million? Because I'm gonna get a couple of million and it doesn't matter if I win, lose, or draw. And then what I would do is say, look, when I go to the fight, I say, look, I got 10 sponsors with $10 million. I'm gonna keep 7 of it. I'll give you 3. You give me the purse of 7. I made 14 million. Give me 10% of the pay-per-view, maybe another couple of million, and now you just made $16 million because you brought sponsors there. Instead of saying I need people to sell tickets, you're like, look, I've already have people who are putting money behind me, so I just need you to. I'm gonna pay you part of this to help me make this show work, and then you give me this, and we call it a day.
I'm not sure who the watcher was that commented and said that the fight isn't as big as people think. I totally disagree with you. No disrespect to who you are. Just curious. If you feel that way, comment again and explain another bigger fight in boxing. Matter of fact, just name a bigger fight in general in terms of MMA or reality TV with Jake Paul fighting a waiter or whatever. Name another fight bigger than Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. For the guy who commented that.
Well, here's one. AJ versus Fury. Undisputed heavyweight championship would be bigger than that
wow,
fight.
You shut me the fuck up quick, because that's a big fight.
I mean, but that's a bigger fight. I mean, that's the biggest fight you're gonna make. If any fight with Canelo, if Canelo fought Charlo or Benavidez, that would probably be a bigger global fight.
No, I totally disagree. It might be bigger because of Canelo. But
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It'd be a bigger fight. I'm talking about just the world's gonna watch it. Like half of this planet is gonna stop to watch Canelo and Charlo fight if they fought. Half the planet, South America, Central America, North America, Canada, it's gonna stop to watch.
They're gonna stop for Canelo.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, who would be the biggest name for Canelo? Because we already know, a lot of us know how he moves in his career. I don't particularly care for it, but who is the biggest name for Canelo? Who can compare, or at least come close to his name? Because I'm not sure if it's Charlo. I would think Charlo. Maybe some people may feel different.
Real quick. The Joshua Fury is legit probably the biggest fight, for one, because they're heavyweights. 2, the overseas, everything that may be the biggest name in boxing. The other 2, Canelo and Benavidez does not have the same name as Canelo, nor does he have the same name and weight as Crawford or Spence. Neither does Charlo. So while Canelo's clearly the outlier of boxing, the other guys aren't. Charlo or Benavidez, though I think they'll be great and exciting fights. There's no other super mega fight to make other than Fury and Joshua than Terence Crawford and Earl Spence. There is none. I totally agree. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm totally wrong on Terence Crawford. He slowly won me over. How could you not love him after someone outside the ring told him, bro, you down? And he looks at the camera and goes, I'm down? You down. And he goes out there and gets a goddamn knockout. How is that not either number 1, 2, or 3, the biggest star in boxing? I don't get that.
I mean, for me, Terence Crawford is pound for pound. I put him over Canelo. Yeah, I put him over Canelo. I know a lot of people have Canelo on top, but for me, Terence Crawford, if you look at his resume, it's easy. Look at his resume. Just go back the last 5 fights, go back the last 6 fights, go back the last 7 fights. When you compare Canelo, sure, he stopped a lot of these guys, but there's a lot of no-name guys. Nobody was looking for Rocky Fielding. Nobody was looking for Yu Durham. Nobody's looking for this cruiserweight Macabu, whatever his name is. I put Terence Crawford as pound for pound. So to say that the pound for pound guy right now is not a big name or a household name, I think that's wild.
Yeah, it is definitely crazy.
You know,
I don't understand how it's now become some weird world where the number 1 pound for pound fighter has to beg for a fight. That's insane to me.
Well, it's insane, but think about it like this, though, right? You're in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are in New York. If I say, look, I'm gonna give you an index card with a picture of Terence Crawford, the name Terence Crawford, and one with WBO welterweight champion, and say, go find 10 random people and ask them each something about this guy. Say, look, go find 30 people and show a picture of Terence Crawford, and you could probably only get maybe half the people in New York to say, oh, that's Terence Crawford. If you walk to Bronx and you walk to Long Island or wherever, I've been in New York in some years, so I can't think of everything is, and say, look, this says WBO welterweight champion, you probably can only get half the people to say Terence Crawford. Because the thing is, and let's be real, there's nothing disrespectful to him. Terence Crawford and Spence are not a Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Those are guys that, look, everybody knows who they are. Even people who hate boxing knows who they are. And it's not so much that I think Spence and Crawford are not marketed well. It's just sometimes you can be the best boxer out there and not be the superstar that people think you are.
I actually believe Spence has a bigger name than Crawford. I think
he probably does. No, he does because he hangs around. But he does because he hangs around with rappers. So he has that crossover appeal now. But Crawford doesn't hang out with Jay-Z or anything like that. So it's like it's hard to make a name for yourself when one guy is like LeBron James, the other guy like Kawhi Leonard. I'm sorry. Really good players, but one of them's a homebody, doesn't talk much, doesn't care much for the attention. But we'll go out and get a ring for Toronto, then leave just like that.
Wow.
It's crazy, man, because, you know, to bring it over to hip hop a little bit, just thinking about like Royce the 5'9", how when I listen to some of his bars, where he's just like, I don't need to be on social media. I don't need to hang out with your favorite rappers. And me being a hip hop fan, I know Royce. I know his music. I'm very familiar with it. And to me, I look at him as one of the best. For a casual, I guess they may not even know who Royce the 5'9" is. May not even come up in their playlist, library, nothing. So yeah, that speaks volumes. And it's just like, what does Terence Crawford has to do to get that type of recognition?
The thing is, there's not much you can do because some people can cross over and have that appeal. Some won't. Like I'm in Texas. There's so many people who don't know who Royce the 5'9" R.A. the Rugged Man, Benny Pazienza, Immortal Technique. They don't know who they are. Never heard any of their music. Like I was playing that new Jedi Mind's album.
Mhm.
People don't know. They're like, Jedi Mind Tricks. Who is that? I'm like, they've been out for 20 years. They never heard of them.
Right.
But sometimes it's just you can be really good and not be big.
So hold on,
Just
I gotta ask you, Brandon, is that the promoter's fault? Because me personally, I always feel like if a guy's a supreme technician, he needs to, and he's quiet, very mild mannered. He needs to be awesome in the ring, very exciting. But let's say he's more of a skilled technician. He has to be super outlandish outside the ring and branded wise. So I look at Errol Spence. He's kind of quiet, kind of very mild mannered type of guy. He doesn't really go out there Adrian Broner like braggadocious. But I think he's actually a star. I actually think Terence Crawford is the one that isn't a star. Do you think that maybe his problems with this promoter or his management team not really putting him in there with the right type of fighters to showcase him? What do you think it is that is maybe holding him back?
And before you answer that, Brandon, just the fact, let me piggyback off that real quick, Hawk. I remember a while back, Bob Arum said that I lost millions. I lost money promoting Terence Crawford. Isn't that your job? I'm confused. When I heard that, I'm like, I thought that was wild, but maybe you could shed a little light on that.
He might be talking shit though, man.
well, yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing: a lot of fighters are not profitable. A lot of guys are not money makers. Because you got to think every time I got to pay you something, I have to hope I make more than what I got to give you. And you also got to look at it like this, right? If I got to pay Terence Crawford $5 million, and I got to pay his opponent $2.5 million, I gotta try to figure out how I'm gonna make $7.5 million off of this. And if I don't make nothing more than $6 million, I lost money. So yeah, I mean, a lot of boxers are not profitable.
But what I'm saying is the fact that Bob Arum said that.
Yeah, he's not doing his job. He shouldn't have said it.
But see, that's part of it, bro. They never really did promote him, no way, really. You barely knew that his fight was even on when he was fighting people on ESPN, and they didn't really push it or nothing. But the other thing you have to ask is just that question. These promoters aren't promoting like they did back in the day. You don't have, because their whole thing in the making money is to getting the casual fan to come in. The hardcore gonna be there. We're gonna watch. We're gonna definitely we're gonna be in. But to get the casual fan, you gotta have somebody in the video with Snoop Dogg, or you gotta, just like when Triller did that whole thing with the music thing, and they had a success with Roy Jones and Mike Tyson that time. They put the culture together. They got everything together. They made it mainstream. So all the people who really wasn't sports fans was like, shit, I'm buying too. Oh yeah, Snoop gonna be there, for other reasons, but they coming in. But then at the same time, people aren't household names because they aren't being built to be now household names. I mean, Muhammad Ali was doing Raid commercials and stuff. You don't see that no more, but you'll see somebody like Amanda Nunes doing a Modelo commercial. You'll see her, but you don't see, a boxer's in a sport that's supposed to be, way more prominent than the UFC as far as having history and stuff. And you see her on there, but you don't see Errol Spence or Terence Crawford. You don't see those guys on there like, hey, buy a Lucky Strike beer or something. You don't see none of that. And I think that's what's missing,
Sometimes when I'm having these debates, real quick, sometimes when I'm having these debates, sometimes I turn it into an actual debate. So now I'm thinking, did Terence Crawford hurt his own career by not promoting himself, even though he's a boxer? I'm going there, I'm getting the job done. But now it's like, should he have done more outside of boxing, even though he's not a promoter? Should he have promoted himself?
Yes, you guys are both right. What the one thing is, like when Black Star said they're not on television anymore, that's a huge problem. The second thing is that, and this is what Terence Crawford or let me say this. This is what boxing promoters and fighters should do. Fighters should hire a publicist. Get somebody who can get you interviews. Like right now, I think everybody on here but me has a podcast. Get that fighter. Say, look, I'm putting them on your podcast, your podcast, your podcast, because all four of us. No, let me see. I think two of y'all are in New York, right?
Yes, sir. Chin Checkers podcast.
Okay.
Make sure to subscribe.
I'm going to subscribe because I want to talk to you guys. Black Star is he's here in Texas with me. He's in Houston.
Okay.
Basement's in Cincinnati, Ohio. I think AKA is in DMV. So that's that's 4 states right there.
Yeah.
That's 4 states, 4 major cities, right? I don't know, DMV will be a major city, but that's 4 metropolitan areas that you can talk to right there. And then what I would do is if I'm going to put Terence Crawford on a fight, I'm not putting him on at 10 o'clock at night. I'm putting him on at 7 o'clock. Let the kids see who this guy is.
Right.
That's the one thing. If you want to make somebody famous and get them popular, let people be able to see them. Kids who are 8 and 9 are not up at 11 o'clock to watch these fights. So
Man,
put them back
me on
on
the
regular.
Snoop Dogg video. I'm in Snoop Dogg's next video, and everybody know me the next morning.
Yeah, because I remember in New York.
Snoop Dogg is
I
the key,
remember,
man.
yeah, in New York, you had Phoenix Trinidad and Busta Rhymes video. You had DMX and Raekwon's video. Actually say, hey, I want to be in your video. I don't know any rapper that would say, no, I don't want a champion in my video. Even if he's just sitting there with his belt. It's better than you sitting there and saying, well, we're going to sit here and wait to see what you're going to do because it'll build your brand. But I think the problem is, like Black Star said, they don't promote anymore. Like if I could, like any fighter I have, once they sign, I'm like, we're getting you interviews. You're going over here. If I can find somebody for that, we're going over there. Oh, we need to get sponsors. Because even if you're not a fan of his, I want you to know his name. And I think the problem you have is that a lot of promoters have just kind of gotten lazy because networks are like, look, we'll pay you for the guy. He's undefeated. Here you go. Instead of saying what they used to do is you would take a fighter or kind of what Floyd is doing with Tank. You're gonna fight in Brooklyn. You're gonna fight in Texas. You're gonna fight in LA. You're going all across the country, and you're gonna fight so people can see who you are, and they're gonna have your name. I'm gonna have your website on your trunks. I want people to know who you are, to follow you, and build a fan base. But they don't do a good job of that anymore. They really don't do any job of it because let's be honest. When do you hear Errol Spence or Terence Crawford talk?
Only when they had a fight. Somebody else's fight or their fight. That's about it. That's about it.
All right, man. I see Troy in the building, man. I can't wait for this. Come on, Troy. Let's get it, bro.
So, I mean, wow. It's crazy that being a boxer now, you got to really promote yourself unless you have those special cases where you have like Adrian Broner, who, if you're just a wild personality, you just going to promote yourself regardless.
But listen, that's one thing. See, that's one thing that people didn't understand with Broner. He learned that shit from Floyd. So he knew that he had to make his own. He had to produce his own self. You know what I mean? He had to build his own self. And at the time, he was building the About Billions and everything, was doing good. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I think all the other distractions that he was doing is what caused the rest of the shit to come down. But he was doing right, bro, because he was self-promoted, and no matter what, it's still right now. Motherfuckers will still pay to watch Adrian Broner fight because he's yet to get knocked out. And motherfuckers always sitting up there still thinking like he can always go back to the old Broner. You feel me?
Right.
Yo, one thing when it comes to, I want to touch Adrian Broner, but then also what you said, work. I feel like that about life. If you got a sandwich spot on the corner, a deli, a mixtape, a boxer, whatever it is, you gotta go not 100, you gotta go 1,000 for yourself. You can't sit there and go, I'm hot, people are gonna find out about me. That is the wrong way to look about life. And I look at Ryan Garcia, and he's mastered the art of TikTok and internet stuff, but he hasn't mastered the boxing stuff. Get in the goddamn ring. What is wrong with this kid? But on top of that, you talked about Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner was a genius in terms of what he did and marketing himself. But the problem was, I think he took on a little too much in jumping weight because he didn't carry over. And then another thing, if you want to be successful as a fighter, musician, anything in life, you cannot have yes men in your corner. Stop having all these people around you that are just going, yeah, you're doing great. Fuck that. Have someone in your corner that goes, yo, bro, you slipping. You're getting a little too fat. You got a fight coming up. This music, this new album you got is trash. Throw this shit away. Don't do it. If you're Ryan Garcia,
too much like right.
If you Ryan Garcia's friend, stop telling him post TikTok videos of him doing mitt work. No one cares about that shit. This is not Jenny Craig. No one cares. Throw some punches in the goddamn ring. You better stop, just in general, man. If you want to succeed in life, stop hiring yes men. But you also got to market to yourself, man. My fault to go on.
Yeah, you know what? That sounds too much like right there. That sounds too much like right. That's why it ain't working for him. How do I sound, by the way? Y'all sound all right?
No, you good, bro. You
right.
Okay, yeah. You know, that sounds too much like right. That's why it's not happening. But I can tell you that it makes no sense that Bob Arum said he couldn't promote him and this whole being quiet thing, because if I'm correct, who was Bob Arum had a Triple G, right?
Yep.
Was he his promoter?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Right. You know, and all Triple G did is the same thing that Crawford is doing, is stopping people in the ring. And then he was quiet. So how the hell could he promote him, but he can't promote Crawford? What's the difference?
Well, man, we already know you gotta have the right skin color. Like
it's not. It is yes.
On
but
now,
yeah, I got that.
But that
I
plays
got
a
that.
part. Look what Lomachenko, when Terence Crawford could fight, and
he don't have no fan base. He don't even speak English. He don't have no fan base and don't speak English. But you know, HBO was selling them like he's something brand new. He ain't brand new. He's not brand new at all. He's nothing brand new. And on top of that, Spence and Crawford are not household names. So if they asking for crazy money, of course they're not going to get it because they're not household names. And I think someone asked, you know, what's the bigger fight? Let me tell you something. If Spence and Crawford comes on the same night that Mike Tyson happens to fight Jake Paul, who actually wins that rating?
That's not even close.
Thank you.
Trilla's
so
I don't know if you've seen the ring cards on.
Right. So you know it's not that big of a fight, is it? It might be boxing's biggest fight at 147, but it's not the biggest fight.
You're right, Troy.
No, man. I don't even know how I feel about that.
No, he's not wrong in what he's saying. I mean, it's at 147, it's the biggest fight. For boxing diehard fans, it's the biggest fight. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. If Mike Tyson, I know him and Jake Paul aren't going to fight, but if Mike Tyson says, I'm going to spar with Tyson and Fury for 3 rounds, I'm probably going to watch them sparring before I watch that fight, just because it's Mike freaking Tyson.
Mm. Yeah, it's wild, man. The state of boxing is wild now. It really is, man. Like it's more for casual fans. It's no longer for hardcore, you know what I'm saying, fans.
You know who did that? I mean, you know who actually took the sport down this path?
Who?
Well, let me give you his initials. TBE. I like to add an H to that, actually. Y'all not gonna like what the H stand for, but I like to add an H to that.
Now, why you feel like that, man? You gotta explain why.
Because he's so
like
listen.
That,
to this day, he constantly sells that he did so much for boxing. What do you do for boxing? He constantly sells that he was this great. That yes, he had great skill and he was a great boxer. Name me a fight of his that both casuals and hardcore could say, I know this is his signature fight. Name me 3 of them. 3.
Let's take
3 out of 50.
Yo, hold on.
Let's take away Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao is 1.
Yeah.
So
that's on sales. That's on sales only.
That's why I said let's take Manny.
No. He has 3 for casuals. I can name the 3. It's Manny Pacquiao, is Mosley and Cotto. Now, hardcore fans, we know about Cotto. He waited a little long. Same thing with Mosley. Pacquiao,
Puerto Ricans know Cotto, but he's really not a mainstream fighter. If he fights in New York, he sells out because of the Puerto Ricans, but overall, he's not a household name.
But Cotto, Cotto is, I don't know. I don't know. I would say those would be the three for casual and diehards. Those would be my three picks. I don't know what else you could choose. You can't choose Corrego.
Okay, like if I say Floyd Mayweather to somebody versus they'll say Cotto, like I say Ali, they'll say Frazier. I say Leonard, they'll say Hearns. So if I go up to somebody, just walk up, I talk to them about Floyd Mayweather, and I say Floyd Mayweather, they'll be like, I don't know. They're not going to say Cotto.
They might say Pacquiao with a question mark. That's what they're going to say. Pacquiao with a question mark. Pacquiao.
No. See, the thing is, like what he's saying is very true, but then it's also sometimes you may not recognize someone's greatness, so they're put in the position to be absolutely great. Now, we're in New York, so I always knew about Cotto's legend on all his fights, getting off the canvas of being hurt, stopping people with body shots. So I wanted that fight to happen a lot sooner than it actually did. And maybe, just maybe, if Mayweather would have been pushed a little harder to his limits against another prime fighter, another big name, it doesn't have to be superstar name, but just with a little enough drama to show the loss, then you look at him different.
Let me jump in here and say something if you don't mind, right?
Jump in, baby.
I'm going to make a quote. I'm going to make a quote, and it's Mayweather's quote. Right fighter, right price. He picked, for 12 years straight at 147, he picked who he wanted to fight. After he beat Oscar, he picked everybody that he wanted to fight. So you can't really blame the fighters because he chose them.
Troy,
I mean, he's right. You're right, Troy.
Troy, I love you, brother. You saying everything that I want to hear. I'm part of the Troy Graham experience, man. I'm a fan now.
No, but Troy, can I jump in for a second, Troy?
Go to my page and subscribe because that's the name of my podcast.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is, what he
cross promote chin checkers. That's me and my host right there, Mister. Get that work, brother.
I got you.
The thing I will say is what I mean. Troy, I kind of said something earlier about being a household name and being those superstars. And the thing is, the problem also is a lot of people are trying to copy what Floyd did. And you can't have everybody trying to say, hey, I'm going to do what Floyd did. It becomes a point where it's like boxing stagnates because everybody's trying to be that 50-0. Everybody's trying to be the money this, the big thing this. And that's one of the huge problems with boxing is that people are kind of losing originality to market themselves.
Well, I got to jump in there because I am a Floyd's fan, but I'm realistic. Everybody's trying to be Money Mayweather instead of being Pretty Boy Floyd. That is the problem. Pretty Boy Floyd put in work, but a lot of these guys not trying to put in that work. You can't be Money May until you're Pretty Boy. So I think that's the problem. They didn't. Mayweather put in work back then. You can say whatever you want to say, but he put in work. After that, afterwards he started to pick his fights. Sure. He picked champions that you may know. Maybe they wasn't in their prime. Okay, sure, I'll give you that. But at least he was Pretty Boy. Now, everybody wants to be Floyd without putting in that work. So I think that's the real issue. You could be like Floyd. You could try and do his same, you know what I'm saying? Take the blueprint and do what he did. But put in work.
No, you're right. I mean, that is one of the issues with you are right. That's one of the issues. Dude, okay, your name is That Work. Okay, I'm like, what is this dude name? I thought I said Thought. I'm like, dude, who names himself Thought? Okay, no, you're right. A lot of people don't realize Floyd Mayweather was a great boxer who was dedicated to his profession. Right. He was also an Olympian, and I think a lot of guys got to realize if you're not an Olympian and you're not dedicated and you're not gifted like Floyd, trying to copy what Pretty Boy did isn't going to get you to what Money did at all. It's not. And I think a lot of guys don't realize that because I don't think they remember. And I'll be 40 in a couple of weeks. So I don't think everybody remembers when Floyd fought Diego Corrales, Castillo, Zab Judah, Baltimore, where he fought some fights where people thought that, okay, you might lose this fight because you're fighting a really good guy at the time.
Right.
And Floyd wasn't making the money that he made. No, the money he made as money is 10 times more than he made as Pretty Boy, if not more. So I think a lot of times people also don't look at the history of it and say, hey, I understand what this man did and sacrificed to be where he's at. Plus, and this is something I don't think gets enough credit, Floyd also had a really good manager in Jay Prince. People really don't understand how good of a manager that dude was.
That's some shit right there, man. The one thing that I want to talk about Floyd real quick, because I'm always super critical on him, he is a pure hybrid of a throwback fighter because he was born in the sport. All his uncles boxed. He watched it from a kid. They threw gloves on him from a baby. He was born into the sport. But then he came over to this modern day era and ended up taking over that. Floyd is the perfect blend of both. The only thing I don't like is when he became Mayweather, he became too businesslike. But in terms of just talent and boxing, skills, all that, Floyd is the perfect breed of modern athlete with the old school mentality. Trains like he's poor every day, but then gets in the ring and he shows his ass like the modern athlete with the skill of the golden era. Floyd is the hybrid, and you won't get anyone that's any more critical on Floyd Mayweather than me. But I got to give him his respect.
That's not true.
But towards the end of his career, he started picking and choosing too much. So, Troy, I want to let you know, what do you mean it's not true?
You know, as the panel could tell you, I'm critical on two fighters. One of them is Floyd, and the other one is who? Let's all say it together. Deontay Wilder.
Oh, wow.
Deontay Wilder.
Hey, listen.
Wilder over Canelo?
Listen. This man has
whoa
against Wilder. I don't know what it is. And the man,
I know what it is though, but I get what Troy's saying. I'm not gonna say I always agree with it, but I get Troy.
What is it? What is it? Go ahead and tell.
About what, Wilder or Floyd?
No, but before you do that, Basement, you know, can you read my message to the apostle, please?
You left a message where?
Chat. It's right there in the chat.
Nah, I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Yeah, I don't see nothing. I put a message in the chat, but you guys see my message in the chat?
This is him. That's all I see.
Oh yeah, so it should be a link to the fight I was talking about that tried to extort money
that
from
shows
us.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know because I see it.
Man, I don't know what the fuck you see.
Word, Troy, you the only one, man.
I don't know what's going on with y'all because I see it clearly.
Did you hear send?
Okay.
Word,
that's the only thing I can think of.
He put it in the private chat or something?
It ain't in the private chat either, man.
Word, I was gonna say I don't see anything in the private chat.
Hey,
They got a race. But what I said to him is, I understand that I'm your Debo, but you know you ain't got to be quiet because I came on the panel. I got your bike and your mic for you, man. You can step up and speak.
Oh damn!
With the smoke.
Yo,
but I gotta hear about the Wilder because I need to understand why Wilder would get criticized so much. I mean, he started when he was 20.
Oh, you
know, I
gotta
know he started late.
I've always been critical of Wilder too.
You could be critical of his skill,
yeah,
but his heart and his willingness to fight. How can you be critical? He was.
I didn't say I was critical of that. I did not say I was critical of that. No, I'm critical of something else.
All right, so please explain. I gotta hear.
Okay, this is what I'm critical of him for. His real life story his real life story about the country boy with a child that had a disability and how he's a good father was a way better freaking story than the character that he created. I don't care if he dies, if he that that's not him. That dude is a loving, caring, compassionate cat who loves his kids, and he's a good father, and he's an okay fighter that could have been better. But somebody sold him a bag of goods and told him that you have to be a buffoon, you have to be a villain, when he had the perfect story to market himself right there. God gave him such a beautiful story, and he washed it away to be Bomb Squad, and that's why he ended up on his face. His face.
Oh my God, boy! You talk about reaching, boy.
So
you be reaching, man.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot, man. I mean, you supposed to have that flip. You're supposed to have that switch when you go in the ring. Like there's people who got that switch.
He sold himself as a villain, or a villain / what? A victim. He was walking two lines. One point he was telling people he was gonna kill him in the ring. Then after he lost, he was like, oh, woe is me. I was poisoned, and it's because I'm black. The first person that gave him money was white. Yeah. Hold on now. The first person that gave him money was white. He has lawyers. They're white. His trainer is white. His manager is white. I mean, come on, cut it out, man.
I don't recall that part.
Come on, man.
When did he say because he was black? When did that happen?
The whole thing with the glove gate and the other nonsense, that was all black and white right there. Come on. Don't do that.
But you do know that was created by a white guy in Canada, right?
That was created by Wilder.
No,
Wilder
you're wrong, bro. Because it was a white guy in Canada who was the one who originally released the footage that had all the suspect stuff with Fury's glove in it and all that.
Okay,
that was him.
Okay,
that's where that came from.
Okay, good. So why did this strong black man run with it then?
Because maybe he felt some type of way. Yeah. I'm not sure if you ever seen an interview with Evander Holyfield.
My point.
I'm not sure if you ever seen an interview with Evander Holyfield, but he did an interview where he said he believes that happened. He felt like that happened to him. He said he doesn't think Deontay Wilder is crazy. He said he felt like that happened to him because he came into a fight and he wasn't feeling 100% and he didn't understand why. So
he had fluid on his heart. He also paid $500,000 to a fake healer to touch him, and he was healed in the next 5 minutes. So Holyfield's a great fighter, but I don't. A lot of the things he says, I can't pay attention to him. He went to this fake healer, pay him $500,000. Man up on the fake healer show, Benny Hanna or whatever his name was, rolling around on the floor. Benny Hanna, oh, he's healed. He's healed. Seriously,
Benny Hinn. It was Benny Hinn.
Benny Hinn, Hanna. I don't. Yeah.
But the thing is, also, I say this, and this is something I tell a lot of people. You can't always listen to boxers. The boxers are not like the moral clause or the moral compass of sports. I mean, boxers lie way more than anybody else. They do. Okay. And they'll say things that you want to hear because, you want to hear it. So sometimes you got to say, look, I gotta take what you're saying with a complete grain of salt because I mean, I don't even know how many times I've seen boxers just flat out lie. And I'm not saying that, I'm not calling anything Wilder may have said a lie, but boxers can be very hard to be fans of once they start talking.
You know what? My fault to cut you off, Troy. One thing though, when we talk about the poison water and everything like that, when I started, I'm not a boxer. I don't claim to be. I train. I've been around a lot of boxers for a long time, but I started off in Morris Park, and I was around Louis Resto. And I didn't even know the history of what he did. But then I found out and watched the documentary and looked at him different. I couldn't believe all the shit that Panama Lewis was cheating and the levels to cheating that they are. And then I watched some documentary on the pedal bike, Tour de France dude, and how he was cheating. So I don't put it past people poisoning waters because when you get millions of dollars involved, you never know. You never really know. But then you better have a guy like Brandon in your corner making sure people are checking them gloves properly. Or like Nassim Richardson when he caught the hand wrapping situation. You better have people like that because I always think the worst of everyone, man. We getting in the ring to fight.
That's because you're from the Bronx. You're from the South Bronx. That's why. I'm from the Bronx myself, but I'm not from the South Bronx.
I'm from all over New York, man. I'm from all over New York. I'm a hybrid, man. But
okay,
truthfully, I'm not a street dude. I don't never claim to be. I've never dealt with the streets. I know street guys, and I know that I'm not walking certain places. But if you getting in any situation, man, you better have people watching your back. But when he talked about spiked water and gloves, I had to call up the Athletic State Commission, and I wanted to know what was the situation with the gloves, because those gloves look extra suspect. I don't know the standard of what it is.
How did it look though? But how did they get past the inspection in the first place?
The inspection said they were approved, which
thank you,
man.
Am I breathing heavy? Heavy?
This is crazy.
And also,
man.
right? Oh no, go ahead. I'll go.
Well, I mean, sure, they went past inspection, and I'm not making excuses for that. But when you have a history like Tyson Fury and a lot of accusations, like Hawk said, I don't put it past him. We saw what happened in one of his fights where the ref seen it and he had to fix the glove, and that was in the fight. You hear about something with a farmer and some meat. You know, we see pictures of the first fight and the second fight. When you have where this smoke,
allow
is
me to
fire.
cut you off real quick there, brother, and ask you this. Yeah. Deontay Wilder is proud to say, and he said it constantly, that he blessed this man with a fight. If he knew his history, which he said he did, why did he bless this dude who's a known cheater, drug addict, and so forth with a fight? Why did he bless him with a fight when there's so many other fighters he could have blessed with a fight? Why would you want to bless this type of guy with a fight and then turn around and complain after he cheated?
He thought he was gonna win. This guy was out.
You ever hear the story of the toad and the scorpion?
Well, let me chime in on that.
Fury was the biggest fight out there for him. I mean, who
was
no,
Fury was the biggest, easiest fight out there for him. Let's be true.
He was an easiest
fight.
Yeah, he thought he was an easy fight. I'll give you that. Yeah, he thought he was an easy fight. He couldn't get UK boy. He couldn't get fucking bodybuilder. So he went with the guy who he thought he could.
Wait, stop. Hold up.
Who was better than Fury at that time?
Yes, sir.
Can I chime in for a second on this one?
Yes, sir.
I love the heavyweights I'm out there. I love heavyweights. So the thing is this. I'll start with the whole allegations thing. I would have no problem accepting that those gloves may have been altered if it was like it was when he failed the drug test and when the referee said something is wrong with your gloves. If it was something that was there to say, look, something is wrong. You failed the drug test. The referee caught your gloves to be not proper. I could go with that. The problem with the glove thing with this one and Wilder is it was something that came out after the fact where no one said, hey, something's wrong. You know, nobody from Fury's corner, no one from Wilder's corner, no one from the commission, it's in Vegas, so you got Floyd Mayweather there. So it's like, okay, it would be weird that somehow Tyson Fury and his people are able to pull a fast one on all these people. The second thing is that he could have fought AJ. He was not given the best advice from management on making that fight. That fight could have been made. It should have been made. He would have made tons of money, and he let the wrong people talk him out of it. That would have been a huge fight because remember, Fury had been out for 3 years. Fury he didn't have a belt when they fought. Fury was a lineal champion with quotation marks, but I mean, AJ and Wilder was a fight that people were like, oh my God, we're going to get this fight and they're going to make $50 million a piece and we're going to have an undisputed champion. And to me, and that's the fight that he should have went with, but he was given, to me, bad advice to not take it.
True, I agree with you, Brandon, but it might have been he thought Wilder Fury might be an easier fight. It might
I mean, before he fought Fury,
exactly what he thought.
That's what I said. But before he fought Fury, didn't AJ lose that fight to Ruiz first? Which came first?
No, they were going to make that fight first. I think a year and a half before he lost to Ruiz, they had been trying to make that fight because DAZN had wanted to bring Wilder to DAZN so they could have an undisputed champion, and DAZN was spending money. So it was 2008 2018, 2019, around that time. Well, no, probably 2018. 2018 was when it was happening.
Okay. Well, he went with a fight that he thought he could win. A guy who, like you said, wasn't in there for a while. That didn't go to plan. But still, with this smoke, this fight, it looks a certain way. No matter who you are, it looks a certain way if you have all these accusations. Like it just does. Whether it was or wasn't, it looks wild.
No, you're right. It does look that way, but you also got to look at it with Evander Holyfield. I mean, there's been accusations, there's been investigations where there's an Evans Fields who's getting PEDs. James Toney failed a couple of drug tests. There's always accusations, and there's every fighter who's successful. Yeah, every fighter who's successful has smoke. There's something. Like Floyd Mayweather has had accusations of him taking saline solutions or all this stuff. So there's always going to be accusations. No fighter has never.
But I'll say this: if this dude was so dirty, he had so many other options. He had White, he had Parker, he had Chisora, he had Hay out there who would have came out on retirement and fought him. If he couldn't get Anthony Joshua, he even had Andy Ruiz he could have got before the boy here, Joshua. He had a whole bunch of different options to go fight, but he chose him because he hasn't fought in years, and he was supposed to be, a big name for him that will look good on his resume. Basically, he was this shining lamb that was going to lead to slaughter, and he was going to say, okay, well, I beat Tyson Fury, the undefeated so-and-so. Surprise! Even at 60%, Tyson Fury outboxed him. Then in the second fight, when he had the brother from Crunk, he beat him from pillow to post. Then in the third fight, allow me to retort, he ended up on his face. His face.
Yo, hold on. I don't know. I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you, brother. The only thing that I won't say is I don't think anyone was avoiding anyone or anything like that. My only thing with boxing in general, boxing is so dirty that you can't bring up something and be like, oh, it's irrelevant because of this, that, because they do underhanded things. Like you see judges chilling with promoters. Teddy Atlas goes on record saying that, where you can see a promoter having dinner with all the judges. So if that's the case, how many times has it been where a guy is fighting with loaded gloves or had asthma medicine put in his water? Panama Lewis, hey, give me the bottle I mixed. You know what I mean?
Facts.
It
happens repeatedly, and most of the time it's never detected.
Oh my God.
And just so you know, bro, hey, you mentioned Louis Resto, man. I played football with his oldest son, man. It's real good family right there, man. It's real good people, man. And that whole thing that happened to that man was really sad, man. People victimized him, man, but he was not really at fault behind that, man. That was Panama Lewis 100%, man. That's a good man. I met that man personally. That's a good man right there. And anytime when people talk about that, man, they got it wrong, man. And I make sure that I let them know, man, that's some bull. Because that's a good family right there. Them right there, man. Lou, shout out to y'all, man. For respect. For real.
See, in that situation where they talk about the whole Panama Lewis thing, remember that Aaron Pryor and Aguero, the whole legendary nights, give me the bottle I mixed. But whenever I bring it up, I'm a racist. Yo, look.
How so? That make no sense. How so?
Whenever I go, yo, that fight, man, they go, hey, you're Spanish. I'm not even sure what Alexis Aguero is. I don't know. I don't care. I'm going, Panama Lewis is a fucking cheater. It's known. It's not an opinion. It's fucking known. It's documented. Yeah. Don't tell me it's because I'm Spanish. It don't tell me.
What's Spanish? What's Spanish? I don't get that because that's not an ethnic group. So ask them what's Spanish the next time we talk to them.
But we also got
a podcast. So you're black. Yeah. You're just black with an accent. I got it.
Absolutely.
that doesn't apply for all people. Some people know that and some people don't. Some people get offended.
But look, I got Cubans in my family, Panamanians.
Right.
And I'm Jamaican.
We know. We know, but even we can't say that to some people.
I know.
They're not hearing that.
I say it anyway, though.
One thing.
Let me say something.
One thing's for sure. Whether you watch Chin Checkers podcast or it's work or it's me, we coming at you unbiased and we try to bring you the facts. We not gonna go with opinions. And if I am saying an opinion, I let you know this is my opinion. I'm biased. I fucking love Carissa Shields. I don't give a fuck what she does. I let you know I'm biased. I love her. That's my fucking opinion. I don't care what you think. That's my opinion. But
I tell you what, brother. I just subscribed to you. And I saw your interview with Buddy McGirt. He's a great interview because he was on.
Oh, he is.
He was on Major Key Boxing with me, and and Major Key. So he's a great interview. Also, you should check out another female boxer. She's Puerto Rican. Her name is Melissa Parker.
Troy.
Yeah,
Melissa Parker.
Melissa Parker.
Melissa Troy.
Huh?
Yeah.
What's up, basement?
Melissa Parker.
I gotta say something.
Yeah, but Melissa Parker.
What's going on, basement?
What it is with a lot of the people we follow is also through New York. We go to the events and we see. So if you're not in the New York, first of all, a lot of boxing isn't Showtime or pay-per-view. When you follow boxing, man, you die hard, man. You search for it. You go out, you look, you go to the events. You see guys coming up in the Golden Gloves. You see all of them. I saw Jade on Curtis Stevenson, the original Chin Checkers. I saw them fight in the amateurs. A lot of these guys. So when it comes to sports, a lot of the guys you see or women are usually people from your city, and you see them on the rise and the come up. Through the amateur events right now. One of the hottest guys in New York, shout out to Ariane Iseni. Ariane Iseni will be a world champion at 168 or 175, around there. Ariane Iseni, keep that name in mind. I watched this kid. There's also another entertaining kid from New York. There's a few of them, but there's this kid. I don't know his real name. It's Peter something. Voodoo Pete. This dude is at 154 and he hits, and when he hits, it sounds like a shotgun went off in the arena or the venue or whatever. But those are two New Yorkers that are on the rise, and they get busy. Those two, they get busy.
Facts.
Okay, I just subscribed to it. It said Chin Checkers, right?
Yeah, with a C.
Everybody has changed information. I got some things going on at the house. I got to end this podcast.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody for coming out. Hey, we maybe get together tomorrow. If not, next Saturday, I'll be prepared. I'll be on time. Everybody is invited back next Saturday for show, and we'll be sitting right here cooking up just like we doing, and we can go forever. I appreciate everybody for coming out. Everybody just get their last thoughts for tonight. Who you got? That work? Who you got? Russell?
Damn. I'm gonna have to go with the underdog. I'm gonna have to go with Mark, man.
Okay.
I'm going with Mark. I'm sorry. I'm going with him.
Me too, bro. And I'm about to put some money up. I'm going on DraftKings. Yo, AK, I don't know. You want to say I'm
still got time, man. I might have to go back and make me another bet, then, man. Hey, listen, man, because shit just don't sound right, bro.
See, my thing about it is, man, it's a little concern, but the thing about it is, I think Gary Russell knows he can't let him chin check him, as my brothers would say. He can't let him do it. If he avoids that, he'll definitely outpoint him. Yeah. So I'm still going Gary Russell, man. And that's the original dog right there.
Troy, who you got?
I got the other guy. I don't got Russell. Based on what I see, based on what I've heard about the weight, and just how he's speaking. Right. Gary Russell's always been a pit bull. Now he's talking like a hush puppy.
Ooh, man.
I already told y'all. Listen, I put money on Russell right now, as of right now. But hey, if that ticket happens to blow up, then I will be back. If I do go back, I'm gonna put it on the other man, just because she just ain't wearing right, bro. She just ain't wearing right. I might be wrong. Shit just ain't right. Hey, look, I appreciate all you good brothers for coming out, man.
Yeah.
I wish we could stay a bit longer and cook, bro. But next Saturday I'll be on time, I promise, man. And we can cook, bro, and do this shit for real, bro. I appreciate that work for coming out, man. Hawk for coming out. Troy coming on the panel, man. Hey, listen, next time we come on the panel next week, we're not talking about Wilder, bro. We're not talking about Wilder.
I'm sorry. I will leave Wilder and his face out of the conversation.
My man, the watcher, man. He all the way in Australia. He talking about why you keep bringing up Wilder. Hey, man, I appreciate my good brother Black Star Sports for coming out, man. Talking his talk like he always do, man. Subscribe to him.
Check that cartoon out, Black Star.
Wait a minute. What's the name of it again? I'm sorry.
Black Star. It's called Black. Man, you fired. It's called Black Star.
Come on, man. You can't fire me, bro. I'm gonna check it out. But hey, look, I'm gonna go live tomorrow, man. Sometime.
You get in the live now, basement.
Since my damn Cowboys is out of there, I gotta go live tomorrow. So if y'all,
I see now. I see now. You're heartbroken over your boys. Okay, peace out.
I know you probably gone, brother. Appreciate you coming out, man. Hey,
I'm gone.
And I talk to you brothers, man. Y'all good brothers. Have a good night. Peace.
All right, man. Peace, bro.